Chapter 2861. Book 1. Chapter 306. Everyone outside the sacred lands had their eyes on Zhao Fu. No one else seemed to be interested in him. Zhao Fu was just too attractive. After dealing with the beast spirits, Zhao Fu continued to move forward. Many shaman incantations started to appear in the void, giving off a faint glow and a mysterious and powerful aura. When Zhao Fu heard it, he felt some pressure for the first time. Xiao xiao xiao, the shaman incantations flew towards Zhao Fu like streams of light, bringing with them a powerful penetrating power. Zhao Fu stretched out a hand and a powerful force surged out, forming a black circular shield. Bang bang bang, muffled sounds rang out as the incantations hit the black light shield. The penetrating power seemed to penetrate the shield and attack Zhao Fu. The shaman incantations once again appeared in the void. Boom! The shaman incantations shot towards Zhao Fu with a powerful force, shattering Zhao Fu's huge and sturdy black shield. The shaman incantations lost their power and dissipated. But very quickly, shaman incantations appeared in the void in front of him, giving off a powerful shaman incantation. Zhao Fu frowned and stretched out his hand. Countless black lights gathered in his hand, forming a black sword. The shaman incantations shot towards Zhao Fu with a powerful force. Zhao Fu raised the sword in his hand and slashed down with force. Clang! A huge black sword light slashed forward, splitting the shaman incantations in half, dispersing and disappearing. But the shaman incantations continued to appear. This time there were new changes. The shaman incantations kept gathering together, forming soldiers that were condensed from shaman incantations. There were 9 of them, each 3 meters tall, giving off a powerful aura. Swish, 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 the 9 shaman incantation soldiers instantly disappeared and appeared in front of Zhao Fu. The shaman spears in their hands carried a powerful force, shooting towards Zhao Fu like lightning from different directions. Boom! Zhao Fu released a black energy that was like a formless wall that blocked the 9 spears. Bang! A muffled explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu exploded out with an even greater power, sending the 9 incantation soldiers flying back. The bodies of the 9 incantation soldiers quickly collapsed, turning into numerous incantations and spreading out. They condensed into a 10-meter-tall incantation soldier that held a spear and gave off an even more powerful aura. Boom! The soldier stabbed out with his spear, and a huge spear energy shot towards Zhao Fu, as if it could easily pierce through an iron wall. Zhao Fu blocked the attack with his sword. The spear energy collided with the sword and turned into a force that dispersed. The shaman incantation soldier was about to attack again, but Zhao Fu quickly disappeared and appeared on top of the shaman incantation soldier. A huge sword light slashed towards the shaman incantation soldier. The shaman incantation soldier quickly dodged to the side, avoiding Zhao Fu's sword, and the spear in his hand whipped towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu slashed with his sword, cutting the spear in half. The shaman incantation soldier immediately punched towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu also punched out with all his might. Bang! A dull sound rang out and the 2 fists collided. A strong wind spread out, and the shaman incantation soldier took a few steps back, while Zhao Fu stood in the sky without moving. Roar! The shaman incantation soldier roared, and many shaman incantations appeared in the surrounding void, pouring into the shaman incantation soldier's body. The shaman incantation soldier emitted light, and its body kept growing. The broken spear in its hand was also repaired. Clang! The shaman incantation soldier waved the spear in his hand, and a huge arc of light quickly hit towards Zhao Fu, as if it could cut off a mountain. Zhao Fu also emitted a strong qi, waved his sword, and a black sword light slashed out. The 2 lights collided and countless lights shot out. The 2 forces were not much different. The shaman incantation soldier held the spear with both hands, and a strong shaman incantation was injected into it, and many shaman incantations appeared around it. Boom! The shaman incantation spear stabbed forward, and a spear light with many shaman incantations shot towards Zhao Fu. It was like a hot knife through butter, and almost nothing could stop it. Zhao Fu directly dodged this time, and appeared behind the shaman incantation soldier, and slashed with his sword. However, the shaman incantation soldier was already prepared. Its back split open like a big mouth, and it fiercely bit towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu quickly retreated and avoided the attack. The incantation soldier's spear swept backwards, bringing with it a powerful gust of wind, and Zhao Fu was sent flying. Zhao Fu looked a little serious, and many shaman incantations appeared on his arm. The shaman incantation soldier's spear stabbed towards Zhao Fu again, and Zhao Fu dodged to the side. He slashed with the sword in his hand, and a black sword light slashed towards the shaman incantation soldier. The shaman incantation soldier's body emitted light, and the black sword light slashed on the shaman incantation soldier's body, but it did not cause much damage to the shaman incantation soldier. Zhao Fu coldly snorted, and a strong shaman incantation was injected into the sword in his hand, and a large number of shaman incantations gushed out from the shaman incantation soldier. At this time, the shaman incantation soldier also knew that it was afraid, and its body took a step back. Boom! Zhao Fu waved the sword in his hand, and a black sword light that was hundreds of meters long was mixed with many shaman incantations. With a huge power, it slashed towards the shaman incantation soldier. The shaman incantation soldier blocked with its spear in front of its body, and it emitted many lights. Bang! There was a loud noise, and the shaman incantation soldier was sent flying by the sword. It fell to the ground, and there was a wound on its body. The shaman incantation soldier quickly got up, and the spear in its hand struck towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu blocked with his sword, and the spear was blocked. The shaman incantation soldier quickly stretched out a hand, and grabbed Zhao Fu fiercely. There was a power of imprisonment that imprisoned Zhao Fu. The arm grabbed Zhao Fu, but Zhao Fu's body turned into a shadow and disappeared. The arm did not grab a solid body. Zhao Fu appeared next to the shaman incantation soldier's head, and he waved his sword. A sharp sword light slashed out, and it flashed in the air, and the shaman incantation soldier's head was cut off. The shaman incantation soldier turned into many shaman incantations and dispersed, but it did not disappear. Instead, it quickly surged towards Zhao Fu, and it wrapped Zhao Fu's body in it. An amazing power struck towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu sneered, and his body produced a strong suction force, quickly absorbing the shaman incantation into his body. It was quickly refined by Zhao Fu, and it strengthened the power of Zhao Fu's incantation. After dealing with the shaman incantation soldier, they were almost at the top of the altar. Zhao Fu continued to move forward. Countless dazzling lights emitted from the front, and the lights condensed into a ball of light. The ball of light continued to condense and become smaller. Another ball of light wrapped it, and it continued to condense and become smaller. Another ball of light appeared and wrapped the previous ball of light, and it continued to condense and become smaller. A terrifying power was emitted. Chapter 2862. Volume 1. 307. Zhao Fu took a step forwards, and the orb of light immediately gave off a wave of light that spread out at a moderate speed, forcing Zhao Fu's body back a step. Boom! A massive wave of power exploded out from Zhao Fu's body, causing the air to seem to become heavy. Zhao Fu once again took a step forwards. Bang! The orb of light once again gave off an orb of light that spread out at a moderate speed, bringing with it immense power. The wave of light spread out in front of Zhao Fu, and the two waves of power clashed. In the end, it was Zhao Fu who was forced back a step. Whoosh! A powerful black aura flame burst forth from Zhao Fu's body, and powerful ripples spread out, making people feel quite shocked. Zhao Fu once again took a step forwards, and the orb of light once again gave off a wave of light. This time, the two waves of power clashed, and Zhao Fu forcefully withstood the wave of light's power and did not retreat. Zhao Fu once again took a step forwards. The orb of light once again gave off a wave of light that was even more powerful and gave off a terrifying aura as it spread out. Zhao Fu also gave off even more power and once again blocked the wave of light. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the orb of light gave off an intense light, and an even more powerful wave of light spread out with crushing power. Many cracks appeared on the stone steps, and it seemed quite powerful. A black aura flame that was a few meters tall appeared around Zhao Fu's body, and a wild black wind blew out. Bang! The two waves of power clashed together and powerful shock waves continuously spread out, causing the two powers to fall into a stalemate. The wave of light gave off even more power as it slammed towards Zhao Fu, while Zhao Fu also gave off even more power as it slammed towards the wave of light. Bang! A muffled sound rang out as Zhao Fu's body took a step back. The wave of light had won. Zhao Fu harumphed coldly and the black flames on his body disappeared. Witchcraft runes appeared all around him, and a terrifying curse power spread out. Zhao Fu continued to take a step forward. The sphere of light immediately released a powerful wave of light that spread out in all directions. Bang! The light wave collided with the many incantations and produced a dull sound. The light wave dispersed and Zhao Fu's body stopped in place. Zhao Fu continued walking forward, and the ball of light immediately released an even more powerful wave of light, which spread out like a gravitational force. But it was still blocked by many incantations. Zhao Fu walked forward step by step, and the ball of light emitted waves of light that continuously spread out, colliding with the many incantations and giving off loud sound. In the end, Zhao Fu blocked all of the waves of light and arrived in front of the orb of light. Many runes gathered in Zhao Fu's hands, forming a powerful incantation sword. Xing! A sword hum sounded out as Zhao Fu vigorously slashed forward with his sword. A sharp sword light slashed against the ball of light, cutting it in half and causing it to scatter into countless motes of light. The incantation sword in Zhao Fu's hand disappeared, and there was nothing blocking in front of Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu continued to walk forward and finally arrived at the top of the altar. Everyone on the altar stopped and looked at Zhao Fu in shock. They were all filled with anticipation. Zhao Fu was about to receive the witch race's legacy. Everyone outside the sacred land smiled as they looked at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu was not a threat to the witch race, and they were happy to see Zhao Fu become the witch race's young master. Even if the witch race's various experts wanted to stop him, they would not have the ability to do so. Now, no one could stop Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu stood at the top of the altar and looked at the figures that were hanging all over the place, and the figures also looked at Zhao Fu. One of the blurry figures of a woman was somewhat familiar to Zhao Fu, and he understood that she was the celestial sovereign shaman spirit. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the figures flew into the sky and spread out in all directions with Zhao Fu at the center. Each of them gave off an extremely powerful aura. The weather changed and the wind and clouds surged. Countless shaman powers quickly gathered here, and the massive ripples were like a calamity that could shake the world. It caused everyone on the altar to feel a chill in their bodies, and they felt an immense fear. Everyone raised their heads and looked at the sky. The figures gave off light, and they were like gods that controlled the fate of mortals. The figures stretched out a finger and pointed it at Zhao Fu, and beams of light containing an aura of legacy shot towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu stood where he was and felt countless traces of legacy power flow into Zhao Fu's body. He slowly closed his eyes and absorbed the powerful shaman curse power. What surprised Zhao Fu was that the sorcerer ancestor's power within his body condensed into an orb of light. It first absorbed the shaman curse power within Zhao Fu's body and then absorbed the powerful shaman curse power, causing an extremely terrifying shaman curse power to spread out. The countless people standing on the altar felt a wave of power instantly weigh down on their bodies. Their bodies, bloodlines, and power seemed to be locked down, and they felt as if they were standing on a cliff. There was an indescribable fear within them. The people outside the sacred land also looked shocked, and they understood that an ultimate power of the sorcerer race was being born. This power fused with the sorcerer ancestors' power, countless shaman curses, and various legacies. It was definitely the most powerful power in the history of the sorcerer race, and it might even surpass the sorcerer ancestors' power by tens of times. Thinking to there, everyone felt quite excited, and they looked forward to the birth of this power. The sky gradually darkened, and everyone looked up curiously. The sky became darker and darker until it lost all light, and it was so dark that it made people feel suppressed. However, this was not the end. The darkness spread out in all directions like a thick black cloth, and the nearby factions were also covered by the darkness. Many experts sensed this terrifying ripple and looked shocked. They walked outside and saw the darkness quickly sweeping towards them. What's going on? Why are there such terrifying ripples? This abnormal sign contains shaman curse power. Something must have happened to the sorcerer race. I heard that in order to fight against the young master of the ancients, the sorcerer race is holding a ceremony to choose a young master. This abnormal sign might have been caused by that young master. Then things have become interesting. I also heard that the young master of the clan of the ancients is extremely terrifying. He has the dragon's origin blood and 3 supreme sword intents. Judging from the phenomenon caused by the young master of the witch clan, he will be another shocking genius. Ever since the last celestial sovereign ascended, the sorcerer race has been in decline. I never thought that there would be such a young master. The sorcerer race might be able to rise again in the future. I wonder what kind of person that young master is? I feel that something big is about to happen. The son of origin, the evil celestial's legatee, the young master of the ancients, and now the young master of the sorcerer race. These shocking geniuses are all rushing over. I also have this feeling. I have a feeling that a shocking battle will erupt between these geniuses, and the strongest person will become the son of chaos, someone who can fight against the heaven-awakened world's heaven-awakened children. Chapter 2863. Book 1, Chapter 308. Chaos. In the end, darkness covered most of the primal chaos world, and the oppressive aura caused countless people to feel uneasy. Zhao Fu absorbed all of the legacy power, and a formless energy spread out. Boom! A massive explosion sounded throughout the heavens and earth, causing everyone to feel quite startled as they looked up at the sky. In the dark sky, a massive golden sun and a massive silver-white moon appeared, giving off boundless light that illuminated the entire world. An incredibly massive man with muscles on his upper body, short gray-white hair, and an ordinary-looking face appeared between the sun and moon. He held up the sun with one hand and the moon with the other. Seeing this scene, countless people were dumbfounded and felt incredibly shocked, and their minds went blank. Boom! A world-shaking explosion sounded out as a massive aura spread out like a world-destroying flood, instantly inundating all things. Under this aura, countless godly spirits felt as small and powerless as dust. The massive figure that was as tall as the heavens, holding up the sun with its left hand and the moon with its right, was imprinted into countless godly spirits' souls and could never be erased. This shaman energy had surpassed the primal chaos world's laws, becoming a top-tier power in the primal chaos world. It was a power that reigned above all creatures, and it was not any weaker than Zhao Fu's 6 paths of reincarnation power. On the altar, Zhao Fu's body slowly opened its eyes, and shaman energy filled Zhao Fu's body, causing it to continuously evolve and become stronger. A while later, Zhao Fu retracted his power, and the massive figure gradually disappeared. Countless rays of light appeared in the sky, and everyone recovered from their shock. The scene seemed to have exploded into an uproar. A black-haired elder said in shock, "Is this shaman energy? From what I know, even the sorcerer ancestor's power is not this terrifying." A handsome-looking young man said seriously, "This is shaman energy, and it's a completely new type of shaman energy. It can be called the supreme power of the primal chaos world. I wonder how this power was born. A pretty woman smiled as she said, I'm more curious about who that young patriarch of the sorcerer race is. He caused such a world-shaking abnormal sign, and adding on this shaman energy, he will definitely become a peerless expert in the future. A middle-aged man said enviously, Why can't our factions give birth to such a terrifying person? Within a large hall in the dragon race, the various dragon race leaders were discussing this matter. The black-clothed elder said seriously, Who would have thought that the sorcerer race would give birth to such a genius? The sorcerer race has some enmity with us, so we should pay more attention to him. The black-clothed elder said, The sorcerer race is doing this in order to resist our young patriarch. He will definitely become a great enemy of our dragon race, so how can we just pay more attention to him? We have of world. The silver-horned elder nodded. Perhaps this person will obstruct our young master's path. We need to guard against him. If there's a chance, it's best to get rid of him. Chun and the patriarch of Chaos World. And the dragon, Patri Dragon Chun Long, the dragon race. And Patri, Chun and Demon. And Dragon Patri. The purple-haired elder said, Your demon-dragon bloodline's Long Wushui is too good at causing trouble. The enmity between us and the sorcerer race was caused by her. However, because of her, we have our young patriarch. I don't want to say anything and let her remain sealed. The black-clothed elder frowned. Why do I feel that this power is somewhat familiar? It seems to contain our young patriarch's aura. Did I sense wrongly? The black-clothed elder laughed. This is the sorcerer race's young patriarch. How can he have our young patriarch's aura? You must have sensed wrongly. A youth hurriedly ran into the hall and said excitedly, The sorcerer race's young patriarch's identity has been verified. He's our dragon race's young patriarch. He's the one who caused such a terrifying phenomenon. Hearing this, the various dragon race leaders' faces were filled with shock, and their hearts skipped a beat. This news was simply too shocking. They had never thought that it was their dragon race's young patriarch. Just now they had been somewhat worried, but now their worries were completely unnecessary. However, the various dragon race leaders also felt that it was strange. Zhao Fu was clearly the dragon race's young patriarch, so how did he become the sorcerer race's young patriarch? However, they did not think too much about it. As long as it was someone from the dragon race, they were not willing to investigate too much. The black-clothed elder laughed awkwardly as he said, I was wrong. I really never thought that it would really be our young patriarch. I wonder what's going on? The violet-clothed elder smiled slightly. It was the same at the City of 10,000 Swords. We've underestimated him, and we don't know where his limits are. The slightly plump blue-clothed elder chuckled. Now, our young patriarch possesses the Origin Dragon's blood, 3 supreme sword intense, and supreme shaman power. Who in the primal chaos world can be our young patriarch's match? The silver-horned elder laughed loudly. I think so too. Our young patriarch will definitely become the primal chaos world's primal chaos world. Even if fairies from the immortal world descend into the mortal world, he won't have to fear them. The dignified-looking elder said, Let's hurry over and take a look. Right now, he's the dragon race's most important person, and nothing can happen to him. The other elders nodded, turned into rays of light, and shot towards the horizon. The news quickly spread throughout the dragon race, and countless people looked shocked and excited. They never thought that their young patriarch would become the sorcerer race's young patriarch. This caused such a massive commotion. The owner of the desolate ancient dragon star, Long Nothingness, felt a great blow to his heart. Originally, Zhao Fu had the Origin Dragon's blood and 3 supreme sword intense, which made him feel somewhat powerless. Now, he understood that he would never be able to catch up to Zhao Fu in this lifetime. Now, Long Nothingness somewhat admired Zhao Fu. He had gone to the city of 10,000 swords to become the Lord of 10,000 swords, participated in the dragon race's trial, and became the dragon race's young patriarch. Now, he had become the sorcerer race's young patriarch. Perhaps this was a true genius. No matter in what aspect, he would definitely surpass the heavens and earth and shock the world. On the other hand, Long Nothingness was like a piece of trash. Long Wheeling also had a look of shock on her face. She knew that Zhao Fu had gone to the sorcerer race, but she never thought that Zhao Fu would become the sorcerer race's young patriarch and grasp supreme shaman power. She had a premonition that Zhao Fu would definitely become the most terrifying existence in the chaotic world. However, all of them had become Zhao Fu's women. The stronger Zhao Fu was, the more benefits they would obtain. Although Long Wheeling did not want to rely on Zhao Fu to grow, compared to Zhao Fu, she was too lowly. When the other members of the dragon race heard the news, they also fell into shock. Most of them fell into a wild celebration, celebrating that Zhao Fu had become the sorcerer race's young patriarch. Some of those who had grievances with Zhao Fu were now only thinking about how Zhao Fu would apologize when he returned. They would not dare to become enemies with Zhao Fu even if they were beaten to death. Apex. Chapter 2864. Book 1, Chapter 309. Chaos. Zhao Fu stood at the top of the altar and looked down at the people below, giving off a formless aura of a monarch. Everyone looked up at Zhao Fu and submitted, not daring to resist at all. The many illusory figures in the sky also slowly disappeared. Zhao Fu walked down step by step, and everyone's gazes were filled with respect as they opened up a path for him. Zhao Fu was now the young chief of the sorcerer tribe, and he was also the most powerful young chief in the history of the sorcerer tribe. Everyone had personally witnessed the abnormal sign, and it was definitely the most shocking and terrifying abnormal sign they had ever seen. Wu Ying sighed. She also understands that she can't compare to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu looked at everyone standing there in shock and smiled as he said, "You guys continue with the trial. I still need to wait for this Magus ceremony to end." Everyone came back to their senses and continued to walk up. Even though Zhao Fu had become the young chief of the sorcerer tribe, the Magus ceremony was not over. Zhao Fu came down and looked at Wu Ying, who was still recovering her power, and he smiled as he walked over. Seeing Zhao Fu walk over, Wu Ying said, "What do you want?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Nothing much, just helping you recover your power." Wu Ying looked at Zhao Fu and said, "I'll leave it to you then." Zhao Fu had sucked away all of her power, and it would take her a long time to recover by herself. If she wanted to ascend the altar and obtain the Celestial Sovereign's complete legacy, she needed Zhao Fu's help. Zhao Fu walked behind Wu Ying and placed a hand on her back, and a powerful wave of power entered her body. With this wave of power, Wu Ying quickly recovered, and the aura that she gave off became stronger and stronger. After a while, Zhao Fu withdrew his hand, and Wu Ying's power also recovered. Sensing the power within her body, Wu Ying felt quite good about Zhao Fu and said, "Thank you." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "You're welcome." Wu Ying walked towards the altar. Zhao Fu looked at her back, thinking about what to do after the Magus ceremony. Zhao Fu wanted to go to the 12 Months Merchant Group. There might be bronze pieces there, and Zhao Fu was also very interested in the power of the 12 Month. After collecting all of the bronze shards, as well as the outer world's various legacies, top-tier powers, and the evil celestial's legacy, Zhao Fu was confident that he would be able to awaken the outer world's supreme emperor star. That way, Zhao Fu would be able to return to the Heaven Awaken world. Wu Ying's speed quickly surpassed that of the 8 great magi, and she also arrived in front of the incantation soldier. Both sides began to fight intensely, and in the end, she summoned the white cat. The third eye between the white cat's eyebrows shot out an invisible force, causing the incantation soldier's body to collapse. After that, she also came in front of the ball of light. The ball of light continued to release waves of light, stopping Wu Ying from moving forward. This last trial was difficult even for Zhao Fu. It was even more difficult for Wu Ying. Every time she took a step forward, she would be forced back a few steps by the waves of light. If she tried to force her way through, she would be sent flying by the waves of light. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the celestial witch mark once again appeared on Wu Ying's forehead. Countless black incantations spread out, first covering her beautiful face, then her neck, and then her entire body as a massive wave of celestial witch power spread out. This wave of power caused everyone to feel quite shocked. It was not a power that they could control, causing them to feel a trace of fear. Wu Ying continued to walk forwards. Boom! The ball of light gave off a wave of light, and it brought with it a massive wave of power as it spread out. Wu Ying also gave off a massive wave of power, which formed a white wave of light that spread out. Bang! A muffled explosion sounded out as the two waves of light collided. Their power was about the same, and they cancelled each other out. Wu Ying continued to walk forwards, and the ball of light gave off an even more powerful light that spread out, causing the stone steps to crack. Wu Ying also gave off an even more powerful wave of power, forming an even more powerful white wave of light that slammed forwards. Bang! A massive sound rang out, and a wave of power formed a wild gale that blew out in all directions, causing everyone to feel shock. The two waves of light once again cancelled each other out, and Wu Ying continued to walk forwards. The ball of light continuously released waves of light, and Wu Ying also released waves of light. Their powers continuously cancelled each other out. In the end, Wu Ying came before the ball of light and stretched out a hand to place it on top of the ball of light. Surprisingly, the ball of light actually fused into Wu Ying's body, and a massive wave of power surged out of Wu Ying's body, forming a wave of light that spread out. Wu Ying continued to walk forwards, and she came to the altar. A blurry female figure slowly appeared, giving off a massive wave of celestial witch power. This figure was also the one that Zhao Fu had sensed. After the figure appeared, it looked at Wu Ying. Then, it walked towards Wu Ying and fused into her body. Boom! An explosion sounded out, and heaven and earth power continuously gathered in the air. Countless rays of celestial light shot out, and Wu Ying's body was surrounded by celestial light, making her look like a true celestial. Now that she had obtained all of Wu Ying's inheritance, her power had greatly changed. Zhao Fu felt that it was a bit strange, because the celestial sovereign's inheritance that he had obtained was not as complete as Wu Ying's. He did not know what was going on. Could it be that the celestial sovereign favored Wu Ying more? Or was it that he was already the young clan leader, and could only obtain a portion of the inheritance? Zhao Fu could not understand these things, and the real reason was probably only known to the Wu Ling herself. The people outside the Holy Land saw Wu Ying's outstanding performance, and they all smiled. Although she could not compare to Zhao Fu, she was still a very shocking genius. Xiao, xiao, xiao explosions sounded out, and old men who gave off a powerful dragon's might appeared in the sky. They were the clan leaders of the Dragon Clan. The expressions of the other members of the sorcerer tribe changed. It was rare to see the top experts of the Dragon Clan come out in full force, and they could not help but feel nervous. The old woman and the others already knew that they were coming. This was the holy land of the sorcerer tribe, and without the permission of the old woman and the others, the clan leaders of the Dragon Clan would not have come here so easily. The old woman smiled. "Welcome to the sorcerer tribe." The clan leaders saw that the old woman was welcoming them with a smile, and they did not want to become enemies with the sorcerer tribe, so they smiled and said politely, "Sorry to disturb you." The old woman smiled and said, "Not at all, you must have come for the young master of the Dragon Clan. He is still in the holy land of the sorcerer tribe." The clan leaders looked at the image in the sky, and they smiled when they saw Zhao Fu. The old woman smiled and said, "Now that he is also the young master of the sorcerer tribe, I think we should nurture him together. I don't want to pursue the previous grievances." The dignified old man smiled and said, I also have the same thought. Our two clans should not fight each other, but get along well. In the future, we will nurture the son of chaos together. Chapter 2865. Book 1. Chapter 310. Chaos Child. Hearing such a confident title, the sorcerer people all smiled and did not retort. After all, Zhao Fu had the origin dragon blood, 3 powerful sword intents, and the sorcerer race's most powerful power. He was the most likely person in the outer world to become the son of chaos. Back at the Holy Land, after Wu Ying received the complete inheritance, she smiled and walked down from the altar. The other witch sons continued to ascend the altar. However, most of the remaining witch sons were blocked by the rune soldiers, and only Yuan Mia came before the orb of light. Facing the orb of light, Yuan Mia first released his beast spirit, which was also a cloud dragon. It fused with Yuan Mia, forming a half-dragon half-human creature that gave off a powerful dragon's might. Yuan Mia stepped forward. The orb of light immediately gave off a wave of light that spread out at a moderate speed. The wave of light hit Yuan Mia's body, causing his body to tremble and the aura he gave off to dissipate. However, Yuan Mia still blocked the wave of light and stayed where he was. Yuan Mia continued to take a step forward. Boom! An explosion sounded out as the orb of light gave off a wave of light that spread out with even more power. Yuan Mia put his hands in front of him and gave off a shocking wave of dragon power. Bang! A massive sound rang out as Yuan Mia was forced back 10 or so steps by that wave of light, and a trace of blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth. Yuan Mia continued to advance with his powerful dragon power, but he was still forced back by that wave of light. He tried a few more times but still failed, and Yuan Mia chose to give up. A powerful figure appeared on the stone step. It looked like a sage-like old man, and the aura he gave off was similar to Yuan Mia's. This was most likely Yuan Mia's ancestor. The ancestor stretched out a hand and a massive wave of power entered Yuan Mia's body. Yuan Mia closed his eyes and absorbed this wave of power. An hour later, the altar gave off a powerful aura that pushed everyone on the altar away. "It's time to release me," Yun Shenlong, who was still chained up in midair, called out to Zhao Fu. Yun Shenlong's heart was very complicated. He had been very angry before, but now, Zhao Fu had become the witch race's young chief and possibly the strongest young chief. He had fused with the witch race's supreme being's power, so he had no choice but to submit to Zhao Fu. He felt a sense of helplessness. Hearing this, Zhao Fu waved his hand and the chains retracted. The cloud god dragon regained its freedom and flew around the altar. It opened its mouth and spat out a ray of light. A light screen appeared in front of everyone, showing everyone's ranking. This was the leaderboard that was mentioned before. According to the ranking of the leaderboard, the tribe could be given various rewards. The person ranked first was, of course, Zhao Fu. The second was Wu Ying and the third was Yuan Mia. Zhao Fu casually glanced at them and did not look anymore. Seeing that his ranking had risen by more than 100,000, Lang Qing smiled in delight. His tribe would receive many rewards. Boom! Another explosion sounded out as a massive power covered everyone and started to teleport them out of the Holy Land. Zhao Fu was also teleported out, and everyone's gazes were on him. Zhao Fu saw that the dragon race's various chiefs had also arrived, and his expression changed slightly. The old woman and the dragon race's chief brought everyone in front of Zhao Fu. The old woman smiled and said, "We already know your identity, and we are willing to support you to become the witch race's young chief. We will also fully support your cultivation and satisfy all of your requests. As for the grievances between us and your master, we can also resolve them and release your master." "Is he going to release that evil dragon again?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "There's no need. She did something wrong and should be punished. We can't let her off just because she's my master." Hearing this, everyone felt that Zhao Fu was very righteous, and their impression of Zhao Fu improved greatly. The dignified-looking old man smiled and said, "Young master, Why didn't you tell us that you were coming to the witch race's trial? We could have sent people to protect you. You're the most important thing to the dragon race." The old woman also said, "That's right, with your talent and the power you control, no one in the primal chaos world can compare to you. You need to pay attention to your own safety. You're also the most important person to the witch race, so we need to send people to protect you." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "You don't need to worry about me. I know this myself. If you send people to protect me, it will be very inconvenient for me. I don't want people following me." Even though it was a good thing to have top-tier experts protecting him, if they were by his side, Zhao Fu would not have any secrets, and it would be very troublesome for him to do anything in the future. The old woman insisted, "But if there's no one to protect you, we won't be at ease. Now that the news of you becoming the witch race's young chief has spread, you've already attracted the attention of the entire primal chaos world." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I know this and I'll be careful. Don't send people to follow me. This is my first order." Hearing this, the old woman did not say anything else. A mere Emperor Heaven Realm expert was speaking to a peerless expert who was about to become a half-step celestial like this. Most people would not believe this, and these peerless experts were willing to listen to Zhao Fu's orders. The elder asked, "Young master, when are you going back?" The old woman said, "Young chief, we have something to ask of you." Zhao Fu looked at the old woman and asked, "What is it?" The old woman said nervously and expectantly, "We want you to leave behind a portion of the Sun-Moon Shaman Curse and Supreme Shaman Power." The Sun-Moon Shaman Curse and Supreme Shaman Power both came from the witch race, and Zhao Fu had received benefits from the witch race. As such, he did not refuse and smiled as he nodded. The witch race's experts all gave happy smiles. In the future, the witch race would be able to control the Sun-Moon Shaman Curse and Supreme Shaman Power, which was of great significance to the entire witch race. Not only would it strengthen the unity of the various tribes, but it would also greatly increase the witch race's strength. Zhao Fu came to a stage, and according to Zhao Fu's instructions, there were 2 black stone steels that were 10 or so meters tall and 3 meters wide. These 2 stone steels were made of top-grade materials. Zhao Fu stretched out a hand and placed it on the black stone steel. A wave of curse energy flowed out of his hand, and countless inscriptions appeared on the stone steel, giving off all sorts of lights. There was also an extremely powerful curse energy. After looking at the stone steel, Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile and went to the other stone steel. He sent the Supreme Shaman Power into it, and a massive figure appeared on the stone steel. It held a moon in one hand and a sun in the other, giving off a boundless aura. In the future, the witch race's people could comprehend here and obtain the Sun-Moon Shaman Curse and Supreme Shaman Power. Of course, the power they obtained would be many times weaker, and it could not compare to the power that Zhao Fu had. Chapter 2866. Book 1, Chapter 311. Chaos. After Zhao Fu returned to the dragon race, news about Zhao Fu had long since spread. More people started to take Zhao Fu seriously and believed that Zhao Fu could become the son of chaos. After staying in the dragon race for a few days, Zhao Fu wanted to sneak out again, but he was still sensed by the dragon race's experts. Now, countless dragon race's experts were summoned back 24 hours a day to ensure Zhao Fu's safety. As such, Zhao Fu could not sneak out like before. In the end, Zhao Fu could only find the dragon race's various leaders. The dignified elder smiled as he asked, "Young master, what business do you have with us?" Zhao Fu said, "I want to leave the dragon territory." The dignified elder asked, "Then where do you want to go, young master?" Zhao Fu thought about it and replied, "I want to go to the December Merchant Group." The dignified elder asked curiously, "May I know why young master wants to go there?" Zhao Fu said, "This is my personal matter, and it's not convenient for me to tell you. Also, there's no need for you to send people to protect me, that will instead cause me trouble." The dignified elder hesitated. Right now, they just wanted Zhao Fu to stay in the dragon race. With their full support, Zhao Fu would definitely become the son of chaos. Young master, if there's anything you need, you can just let us do it. I think it's safer for you to stay in the dragon territory. Zhao Fu insisted, this matter is very important to me. I just came to tell you, not for your permission. Hearing this, the dignified elder sighed and handed over a medallion with a dragon engraved on it. We won't stop you. If young master encounters any danger, activate the medallion immediately, and we'll immediately come to save you. Zhao Fu nodded and accepted the medallion. The silver dragon horned elder suddenly asked, Young master, you left previously for the witch tribe's power of inheritance. Could it be that you left for the 12 months merchant group's power of 12 months? Hearing this, everyone looked at Zhao Fu. Ever since Zhao Fu became the young master of the demonic dragon bloodline, he had gone out twice. The first time, he obtained the 10,000 swords inheritance. The second time, he obtained the witch race inheritance. This third time, he went to the 12 Moons merchant group. Everyone couldn't help but think of the 12 Moons power. Zhao Fu chuckled. All right. I won't hide it from you. I'm here for the force of 12 Moons. The silver-horned elder laughed. The power of the 12 Moons is one of the 2 Xiantian essence powers of the Chaos world. The other is the power of the 8 suns. However, these 2 types of Xiantian essence powers are very difficult to control. As the controllers of these 2 powers, the 12 Moons Trade Group and the 8 Suns Temple have both declined somewhat. In ancient times, practically no one dared to offend these 2 powers. Even the 4 great alliances were unwilling to fight with them. Our primordial dragon race also did our best not to offend them. Young master, if you can control the force of 12 moons, I will fully support you. This is an opportunity for our dragon race. Our dragon race can also possess this Xiantian essence power, and there's definitely no one else in the chaos world who can rival you, young master. The black-cloved elder chuckled. Now that young master has grasped the 10,000 swords inheritance, 3 supreme sword intense, essence dragon's blood, and the power of the witch tribe, no one else can compare to young master. The blue-cloved elder laughed happily. I can already foresee young master becoming the child of primordial chaos and ruling over the chaos world. The entire world will submit to you, and our dragon race will welcome its most glorious moment. The violet-haired elder smiled. I do have something strange. Why hasn't young master awakened his life-bound star? Hearing this, everyone felt quite curious. After all, when Zhao Fu obtained the essence dragon's blood and legacy, he would definitely obtain the primordial ancient dragon's blood. If even someone with the essence dragon's blood and legacy could not awaken the primordial ancient dragon's blood, then no one else would be able to. They did not know that the primordial ancient dragon star was affected by Zhao Fu's other 8 supreme emperor stars and could not awaken it at all. Only existences on the same level as the other 8 supreme emperor stars could awaken it. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, In actuality, I've long since made plans. Going to 12 moons is also part of my plans. The dignified-looking elder said in shock. Could it be that young master is doing this for the Chaos World's Supreme Emperor Star? Hearing this, everyone looked quite shocked. Even though the Chaos World's Supreme Emperor Star existed, no one had ever possessed one. Even the most powerful existence in the Chaos World, the Origin race, did not have a Supreme Emperor Star. Zhao Fu said as he smiled. Everyone could not help but gasp. They had underestimated Zhao Fu's ambitions. It turned out that he did not care about the dragon race's primordial ancient dragon star, and was only after the Chaos World's Supreme Emperor Star. Thinking about that, their bodies trembled, not out of fear but out of excitement. If Zhao Fu could really obtain the primordial ancient dragon star, he would become the #1 person in the Chaos World's history. They could not imagine what would happen next. Zhao Fu smiled as he asked, I know a bit about the 12 Moons Financial Group, but I'm not sure about the 8 Sun God Palace. Please tell me more about them." The dignified-looking elder smiled as he said, "Your information is limited, so I'll tell you about the 12 Moons Financial Group and the 8 Sun God Palace. Since you are about to go to the 12 Moons Financial Group, I'll tell you about them first. The 12 Moons Financial Group originated from the 12 Moons Immortals. The 12 Moons Immortals were celestial spirits born from the 12 moons in the sky, and they were one of the most powerful existences in ancient times. The 12 Moons Immortals were quite indifferent and did not have much interest in power. There were few things on the moon and everything was empty, so the 12 Moons Immortals were curious about the mortal world. As such, they had people collect all sorts of things from the mortal world. During this process, 12 women were taken in by the 12 Moons Immortals, and they gave the moon immortal legacy to the 12 of them. The 12 of them rewarded the 12 Moons Immortals to the 12 Moons Financial Group, and that was how the 12 Moons Financial Group had come to be. Zhao Fu understood and nodded. He now knew why the 12 Moons Immortals had established a financial group and not a faction. The various leaders knew more than him. Under the protection of the 12 innate Moon Immortals, the 12 Moons Financial Group quickly became a massive faction, and that was when the 12 Moons Financial Group was at its most prosperous. For some unknown reason, the 12 innate Moon Immortals had left the primal chaos world, and their 12 heirs had become the new Moon Immortals. Although the 12 Moons Immortals' strength and power of the moon could not compare to the 12 innate Moon Immortals, they were still very powerful, and the 12 Moons Financial Group was still very prosperous. However, as the 12 Moons Immortals continued to change, the 12 Moons Immortals became weaker and weaker, and the 12 Moons Financial Group declined as a result. The current 12 Moons Immortals could not even ascend to the moon, and they could only stay on the ground to cultivate. Back then, the 12 Moons Immortals lived on the moon, and the 12 Moons Financial Group had become like this. However, with their past foundation, the 12 Moons Financial Group was still a powerful faction, and it was one of the 4 great financial groups. Chapter 2867. Book 1, Chapter 312. Young Master, if you want to obtain the power of the 12 moons, you have to ascend to the moon to obtain the purest power. Zhao Fu asked, "Can you fly to the moon with your current strength?" The old man chuckled. The moon and sun in the sky had supreme power that repelled all living beings. If one tried to force their way in, they would be corroded by the sun and moon. Even true immortals would find it hard to ascend, let alone ordinary beings. Only beings who possessed the power of the sun and moon could ascend to the moon when the power of the sun and moon within their bodies reached a certain limit. There was no other way. Zhao Fu thought that if he could directly ascend to the moon, he wouldn't need to go to the 12 Moons Merchant Group and could directly obtain the purest moon power. Zhao Fu continued to ask, "What kind of faction is the 8 Sun God Temple?" The old man said, "The 8 Sun God Temple was born like the 12 Moons Merchant Group. The 8 suns gave birth to 8 innate sun gods. As innate gods, the 8 sun gods were extremely powerful. They could burn the sky and boil the sea, destroy the world, and slaughter the spirit. They were one of the most powerful gods in the ancient times. In ancient times, they were worshipped by countless people. They were also the gods with the largest number of believers and the largest number of believers. The 8 Sun God Temple was created by the 8 innate gods themselves and spread their faith. This was different from the 12 Moons Merchant Group. After the ancient divine war, many powerful gods fell and the 8 sun gods disappeared. No one knew if they were still alive or not. The 8 Sun Celestial Palace they built was also heavily damaged, and no one was able to replace the innate sun god. The 8 Sun Celestial Palace grew weaker and weaker, and the number of followers also decreased. Ascending to the sun was more difficult than ascending to the moon. After the 8 sun gods disappeared, no one from the 8 Sun God Temple was able to ascend to the sun. It was said that there were still people from the 8 Sun God Temple on the sun. Apart from the sun, Only a small portion of the 8 Sun God Temple's strength remained in the extreme Yang land. The Sun emissaries of the 8 Sun God Temple usually stayed in the extreme Yang land and never participated in the affairs of the primal chaos world. If one wanted to obtain pure 8 Sun power, they would have to ascend to the Sun. They would have to go to the 8 Sun God Temple first. However, even if they went, it was useless. Many people wanted to obtain 8 Sun power, but no one succeeded. Zhao Fu nodded and asked curiously, "What was the ancient godly war?" The dignified old man smiled and said, "The ancient deity war was a war between the good and evil gods. Many innate godly spirits either died or escaped from the chaotic world. It was very difficult for a new deity to be born in the chaotic world. Thus, many innate godly spirits disappeared and escaped, resulting in a situation where there are very few deities in the chaotic world." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I understand. I think it's time to go to the 12 Moons merchant group." The dignified old man smiled and said, "Young master, you have to be careful. Remember our words. If anything happens, activate the dragon token and we will rush over immediately." The old man smiled and nodded. A week or so later, Zhao Fu arrived near the December merchant group. In order to obtain the power of the 12 moons, one needed to become a core member of the merchant group. Only the core members of the 12 moons could obtain the power of the 12 moons. Ordinary people could only obtain the power of the 12 moons. There were even people who cultivated the 12 moons cultivation method to obtain the power of the moon. The 12 moons merchant group did not have a legacy, or else they would be able to participate in the trial. If they performed outstandingly, they would become a core figure and would easily obtain 12 moons too. However, they did not have one, so they could only think of other methods. They could join the 12 moons merchant group, but they would not be valued if they did things like selling and protecting items. Moreover, they would have to show their faces, which would cause Zhao Fu a lot of trouble. If there was no other way, they could only create another method. Zhao Fu had already heard that one of the 12 Moons merchant group was escorting a few treasures to a certain region. A handsome-looking young man was riding a horse and leading 10 or so people. His name was Yulin and he had quite a high status in the 12 Moons merchant group. If it wasn't for the fact that these treasures were very important, he would not have personally escorted them. Roar! A loud roar rang out and a giant worm rushed out from the ground, its fangs ferociously biting towards Yulin. Yulin was given a big fright and immediately flew into the sky, but the horse he was riding on was devoured by the worm. Yulin looked furious as he took out a saber and vigorously slashed at the worm. The worm dodged to the side, dodging this attack, and it opened its massive mouth and bit at Yulin. The others wanted to go up and help, but a few more worms crawled out from the ground and attacked the others. Yulin slashed out with his saber, sending out a massive saber light towards the worm's mouth. The worm howled in pain and twisted its body as it whipped its tail at Yulin. Yulin was unable to dodge and could only block with his saber. Bang! A muffled explosion sounded out as Yulin was sent flying. The massive worm opened its mouth and spat out an air bullet that quickly shot towards Yulin. Yulin slashed out with his saber, sending out a silver crescent that destroyed the air bullet. Boom! The worm's body shot out incredibly quickly, and it was like a black blur as it smashed towards Yulin, giving off a shocking aura. Yulin was caught off guard and his body was sent flying by the massive worm, causing him to cough up a mouthful of blood. The worm continued to rush towards Yulin. Yulin's expression was cold as he exploded out with a powerful aura. He continuously slashed out with his saber, and a few saber lights slashed towards the worm. A few wounds appeared on the worm's body, but they were not serious. It rushed in front of Yulin and opened its massive mouth, creating a suction force that sucked Yulin's body over. Yulin was given a big fright and hurriedly retreated, his body giving off a powerful moonlight. With the help of the moonlight, Yulin was able to break free from the suction force. Before he could react, the worm once again ferociously bit at him. Yulin immediately dodged to the side and slashed at the worm's body. However, the worm was very fleshy and did not deal much damage. The worm cried out in pain and swung its tail at Yulin, bringing with it a strong gust of wind. Yulin's body gave off a large amount of moonlight, forming a tough defensive barrier. Bang! The defensive barrier was shattered by a massive force and Yulin's body was sent flying, but he was not injured. Chi! The worm seized this opportunity and spat out another air bullet, which quickly hit Yulin's body and exploded. The explosive force tore apart Yulin's clothes and caused a few wounds on his body to bleed. Before Yulin could react, the worm had appeared beneath his feet and bit at his foot, smashing him into the ground and creating a large crater. Chapter 2868. Book 1, Book 3, Chapter 313. The giant worm sprang forward with all its might, then opened its mouth and bit down at Yulin. Yulin was startled. He watched as the hand worm rushed towards him. A sharp sword light flashed and slashed the hand worm in half, causing a large amount of blue liquid to splatter out. Yulin let out a sigh of relief and turned to look at a black-clothed person wearing a cloak. This person was Zhao Fu, and those Lu Chong had been controlled by Zhao Fu to attack Yulin's people. Their goal was to sneak into the December merchant group. Seeing Yulin walk over and stretch out a hand, Zhao Fu asked caringly, "Are you all right?" Yulin grabbed Zhao Fu's outstretched hand and stood up as he smiled and said, "Thank you for your help, sir. I'm fine." Zhao Fu said, "You're welcome." Yulin asked curiously, "May I know who sir is?" Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile as he said, "My name is Yu Xian, and I don't have much of an identity. I'm just an ordinary person." Yulin smiled as he said, "With sir's strength, you don't seem like an ordinary person." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I'm only slightly powerful and can't compare to those true experts." Yulin did not continue on this topic and smiled as he said, "I haven't introduced myself yet. I'm Yulin from the December Merchant Group." Zhao Fu pretended to be shocked as he said, "December Merchant Group? So you're from such a powerful faction. I was wrong." Hearing this, Yulin could not help but smile as he said, "You flatter me. I'm almost done with my mission, so how about you come with me to the merchant group? I'll treat you well." Zhao Fu had been waiting for this, so he smiled and nodded. Half a day later, Zhao Fu and Yulin arrived at the city controlled by the 12 merchant group. The 12 merchant group was split into 12 parts, and it could be said that they were split into 12 factions. Yulin was a member of the 8th Moon faction, and this city was also controlled by the 8th Moon faction. Yulin brought Zhao Fu back to his home and ordered his servants to prepare some food and wine. Yulin raised a cup of wine as he smiled and said, "Brother Xian, let me toast you." Zhao Fu also raised his glass. "I'll give you a toast too." The two of them drained their cups in one gulp. At that moment, a beautiful woman walked in and looked at Yulin as she asked in concern, "Yulin, I heard you were attacked?" Yulin stood up and said with a smile, "Mother, I'm fine. This person saved me." The beautiful woman's name was Yu Guhua. Her eyes sized up Zhao Fu. "Thank you for saving my son. I will give you some compensation." If Zhao Fu refused, it would seem quite strange, so he smiled and said, "It's nothing, no need to thank me." Yulin said, "Mother, I see that Yu Xian's strength is not bad, and he doesn't have any influence. Why don't we invite him to join us?" Yu Guhua smiled and nodded. "I'll leave everything to you." Yulin looked at Zhao Fu and asked, "Would Brother Xian be willing to join our family?" Zhao Fu said with a smile, "It's my honor." Yulin loudly laughed as he said, "All right, there's no need to be so polite. Let's continue drinking." With how powerful Zhao Fu was, it would be beneficial for Yulin to take him in. He did not know that he did not have the ability to control Zhao Fu. Yu Guhua lightly laughed. "You guys continue, Mother will be leaving now." After eating and drinking, Zhao Fu joined the Yu family. Yulin even arranged a luxurious residence for Zhao Fu and a servant. It could be seen how much importance Yulin placed on Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu looked at the round-faced youth in front of him and asked, "What's your name? How long have you been in the Yu family?" The round-faced youth nervously replied, "I'm called Zhang Li, and I've been in the Yu family since I was young." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. "I just came to the Yu family and don't know many things. I need you to tell me about the Yu family and I'll give you many benefits." Zhang Li nodded. The Yu family was a high-class family within the 8th Moon faction. The person in charge of the Yu family was Yu Lin's big sister, Yu Shaoqian. The 12 Moons merchant group's manager and family head were mostly women, so it was almost impossible for a man to be the family head. Yu Lin himself did not have any thoughts about being the family head. He only wanted to help his big sister consolidate the family's power and develop it. Under Yu Xiaoqian's management, the Yu family was flourishing, and the other factions supported Yu Xiaoqian as the family head. After understanding a few things, Zhao Fu gave Zhang Li some rewards and had him leave. Zhao Fu thought about it and came up with a plan. He closed his eyes and began to comprehend his bloodline. He had to raise the evil immortal bloodline to the 6th stage as soon as possible. The next day, Yulin brought Zhao Fu around the city, introducing a few things to Zhao Fu in case Zhao Fu did not know anything. "Oh, so you're fine?" a slender woman with a gloomy aura said mockingly with a few attendants behind her. Yulin frowned and whispered, "She's my big sister's opponent. Her name is Yulan. That sneak attack was very likely sent by her." Zhao Fu smiled slightly and did not say anything. Yulin snorted, "You really are despicable. Sooner or later, you'll lose to my big sister. Also, you better be careful in the future." Yulan disdainfully said, "Are you threatening me? Do you think you have that ability? Why don't you go back and complain to your big sister?" After saying that, Yulan was about to leave. Yulin angrily said, "I don't need to rely on my big sister. One day I'll show you how powerful I am." Yulan sneered and said to the attendant, "Teach him a lesson." An attendant walked over and arrogantly said, "It's not too late if you scram." Yulin roared, "Do you think I'm afraid of you? Let's fight." The attendant narrowed his eyes and prepared to attack. Zhao Fu walked over from the side and said, "Brother Lin, he's just a servant. How can he be qualified for you to attack? Leave him to me." Hearing this, Yulin felt that it was reasonable and nodded. The attendant looked furious and he quickly attacked at Zhao Fu. His hand was like an eagle's claw as he grabbed at Zhao Fu's throat. Zhao Fu only glanced at him and a formless energy flowed into the attendant's chest, sending him flying. He crashed to the ground and coughed up a mouthful of blood. Yulan looked quite surprised. Yulin felt quite surprised. He had never thought that the attendant would be dealt with so easily. He felt that he had underestimated Zhao Fu's strength. Yulan called out, "All of you, attack together." The other attendants obeyed and gave off powerful auras as they rushed at Zhao Fu. They were incredibly fast. Zhao Fu stretched out a hand and pushed forwards, causing a powerful energy to flow out. Bang! 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 Several attendants were sent flying by a force at the same time, producing muffled sounds. Chapter 2869. Volume 1. 314. Yulan asked with a serious expression, "Who are you?" Yulin smiled as he said, "He's called Yuxian, and he's a member of my family. He's my brother." Yulan looked at Zhao Fu and felt that Zhao Fu's power was unfathomable. It was possible that he was above her. If he became Yulin's subordinate, things would become much more troublesome in the future. Yulan coldly snorted, "Let's go." The attendants immediately got up and followed behind Yulan. After Yulan left, Yulin smiled and said, "Many thanks, Brother Xian. Also, you're this strong? Ordinary Emperor Heaven Realm experts wouldn't be able to resist at all against you." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "As long as you focus on cultivating, you'll be able to do the same." Yulin brought Zhao Fu to a large building and saw a beautiful and gentle woman. She was the current leader of the Yu family, Yu Shaoqian. Now that she knew how strong Zhao Fu was, Yulin felt that keeping Zhao Fu by her side was a waste of his talent, so she decided to introduce him to her big sister. Yu Shaoqian looked at Zhao Fu and smiled as she asked, "What is it?" Yulin smiled as she said, "Big sister, let me introduce you to someone who saved me during that attack. He's called Yu Xian, and his strength is extremely shocking. Ordinary Emperor Heaven Realm experts aren't a match for him, so I want to introduce him to you. He'll be of great use to you." Yu Shaoqian smiled as she said, "All right, you can stay then." Yulin smiled as she said, "Then you can chat for a while. I'll be leaving first." Yu Shaoqian looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Please sit." Zhao Fu sat to the side. Yu Shaoqian said, "I've heard a bit about you, and I feel that you're too mysterious. What is your true identity?" Zhao Fu smiled as he replied, "I don't have any identity. I'm just an ordinary person, but I'm a bit stronger than ordinary people. If you're willing to trust me, I'll do my best to help you. If you're not willing, I'll leave immediately." Yu Shaoqian thought for a moment before saying, "May I ask you, what do you want by joining my family?" Zhao Fu smiled and said, "I want your clan's moonstone." Moonstones originated from the moon in the sky, and every family had them. They contained extremely powerful moon energy and could be passed down through generations. Moreover, moonstones could split. Yu Shaoqian smiled without hesitation. "I can agree." If Zhao Fu said he didn't want it, then she would be a bit worried about Zhao Fu's status. Moonstones might be precious, but she could still give them to Zhao Fu. Of course, the prerequisite was that Zhao Fu could bring her enough benefits. Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Yu Shaoqian smiled. "Right now, I need you to do something." Zhao Fu asked, "What is it?" Said Yu Shaoqian. "Yu Lan's family has a batch of important goods to deliver, and they are being protected by many experts. I want you to snatch those goods." Zhao Fu nodded. "No problem." Yu Shaoqian smiled. "For you to agree so easily, do you know how many experts are protecting those goods?" Zhao Fu smiled confidently as he said, "I'm confident in myself." Yu Shaoqian smiled and continued, "Also, try not to kill their family's people. The 12 Moons Merchant Group has its own rules, and I just want to suppress their family a bit to teach them a lesson. I don't plan on making a big deal out of this." Zhao Fu nodded. A group of people was walking forward. The person at the front was a tall and beautiful woman. She was extremely powerful, having reached the Void Realm. She was called Yumi Boom. A rumbling sound rang out as a black-cloaked figure appeared in the sky. A powerful aura spread out like a flood. Everyone's expressions changed and they looked up at the sky. Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Hurry up and hand it over, and I won't harm you." Yumi smiled. "This is the first time I've seen an Emperor Heaven Realm dare to be so arrogant. Do you know my cultivation base?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Of course." Yumi smiled. "You know my cultivation base, yet you still dare to say that? It seems you're not stupid, so you must be very confident in your strength." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I don't want to waste words. Since you don't want to hand over the goods, I'll be taking action." Boom! Zhao Fu punched out, and an enormous black fist energy smashed towards Yumi and the others, seeming to be able to sink the ground. That enormous aura caused everyone's faces to pale, and Yumi's expression became grave. This person definitely was not an ordinary Emperor Heaven Realm expert. Yumi stretched out a jade-like hand and pushed forwards, causing a crescent moon to appear on her palm, giving off boundless light and blocking the terrifying fist energy. A massive explosion sounded out as the ground around them cracked. Zhao Fu instantly appeared in front of Yumi and sent a palm towards her hand. Yumi coldly harumphed, thinking that this person was too arrogant. He dared to face her head-on, not putting her in his eyes at all. A powerful wave of moon energy flowed into her palm, causing the crescent moon to shine with even more intense light. She vigorously pushed it forward. Boom! One palm gave off a black light while the other gave off a white light. The two palms collided, resulting in a massive shockwave. The ground instantly crumbled, and the people behind Yumi were blasted back. Yumi took 3 steps back in surprise. She was a Void Realm expert, yet she had lost to an Emperor Heaven Realm expert. This was not power that ordinary people could have. Yumi asked seriously, "Just who are you?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Perhaps I'll tell you if you defeat me." Boom. Zhao Fu grabbed towards Yumi with his hand, which was like a black dragon's claw, looking incredibly ferocious and terrifying. Yumi took out a silk fan and vigorously waved it forwards. A silver-white aura containing immense power slammed against the black dragon's claw, while the black dragon's claw grabbed forwards, causing a terrifying black light to shine out and rip apart the silver-white aura. Yumi felt quite startled and hurriedly blocked with the fan. The fan gave off light and formed a circular shield. Bang! The dragon's claw gave off shocking power as it slammed against the defensive barrier, causing it to shatter, and Yumi was knocked back 5 or 6 steps. Shing, shing, shing. 10 or so black swords of light quickly formed around Zhao Fu and gave off powerful sword energy as they shot towards Yumi. Yumi's power flowed out and she vigorously waved her fan, causing many silver-white crescent moons to fly out and shatter the black swords, and the crescent moons continued towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu's body flashed and the crescent moons slammed into the ground, opening up a large crater. In the next second, Zhao Fu appeared in front of Yumi and slammed his palm against her chest. The massive force instantly sent her flying, and she crashed to the ground and coughed up a mouthful of blood. The others wanted to rush over and help, but Zhao Fu waved his hand, causing a black gale to blow them away. Chapter 2870. Book 1. Chapter 315. Zhao Fuiwemi coldly harumphed and slammed a hand against the ground, causing a powerful wave of moon energy to spread out. Boom, 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 boom. 4 pillars of silver light shot out from the ground around Zhao Fu, and a powerful aura spread out. A restrictive power covered Zhao Fu's body, making it so that he could not move. This was Moon Prison, the 12 merchant group's method of trapping people. Seeing that Zhao Fu had been bound by Moon Prison, Yumi let out a sigh of relief. Zhao Fu lightly laughed. "You want to trap me with just this?" Boom. A massive explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu released a massive wave of power, forming 2 massive dragon claws that grabbed forwards and tore. The terrifying power tore apart the restrictive power, and the 4 pillars of light collapsed. Yumi's face paled. This person is too powerful. Zhao Fu grabbed forwards with a hand and countless traces of black aura flowed out, forming a massive arm that gave off a powerful aura as it grabbed towards Yumi. Yumi quickly dodged to the side, avoiding this arm, and she swung the fan in her hand. The fan spun out a crescent that gave off immense power as it slashed towards Zhao Fu, bringing with it a white gale. Zhao Fu's arm vigorously swung to the side, sending the crescent flying. It grabbed the moon honey in its hand, and the moon honey gave off many rays of silver-white light as it tried to struggle free from the massive arm. Zhao Fu's expression was quite relaxed as he vigorously gripped, and the massive arm gave off a large amount of black aura, suppressing Yumi's power and making it so that she could not resist at all. The massive arm grabbed Yumi's body and brought her in front of Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu smiled as he looked at Yumi and said, "I already said that if you hand over the thing, you won't have to suffer like this." Yumi said coldly, "Just who are you? I don't believe that an ordinary Emperor Heaven Realm expert has such terrifying power." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "What kind of person do you think I am?" Yumi stared at Zhao Fu and said, "I believe that you must be a genius from some great power. I wonder why you would do such a despicable thing?" Zhao Fu chuckled and said, "I can't tell you that." A wave of power spread out from the giant arm, and the storage ring on Yumi's finger automatically left her finger and flew to Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu reached out and took the ring. Yumi's face was cold and she did not speak. Zhao Fu smiled as he looked at Yumi. This type of beautiful woman was very much in line with his taste. Sensing Zhao Fu's unfriendly gaze, Yumi had a bad feeling and called out, "What do you want?" Zhao Fu said with a smile, "Nothing." After saying this, Zhao Fu disappeared with Yumi. Everyone else could only watch as Zhao Fu took Yumi away, unable to do anything. A few hours later, by the lake, Yumi's face was red as she powerlessly leaned against Zhao Fu. "Tell me, who ordered you to do these things?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "I can't tell you. I have professional ethics. However, you should know who did it when you go back." Yumi lightly harumphed, "Why don't you join our family? We'll give you everything you want, including me." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "If I had met you before, I would have agreed. Now that I've already promised someone else, I won't go back on my word." Yumi said with a cold expression, "Then you have to promise me not to do anything to harm our family, or else I won't touch you again." Zhao Fu looked at Yumi and smiled as he said, I can promise you that." Yumi's expression eased. Zhao Fu returned to the Yu family and tossed a spatial ring to Yu Shaoqian. "I've completed the matter you gave me." Yu Shaoqian smiled and nodded. "I already know about it. However, you really are powerful. Even Void Realm experts were easily defeated by you." Zhao Fu smiled. "When can you give me the moon stones?" Yu Shaoqian smiled. "Help me do one more thing and I'll give you the moon stones you want." Zhao Fu looked at her. "What is it?" "Not long from now, the nearby 100 cities will be holding a competition. I want you to represent my family. If you win, I'll give you the moon stones. You'll bring glory to my Yu family, and you'll even receive the attention of the higher-ups." Zhao Fu nodded. "No problem." After leaving Yu Xiaoqian's room, Yulin happily went to find Zhao Fu. "Brother Xian, I've already heard about your matter. You really are amazing." Yulin felt like she had picked up a treasure. With Zhao Fu's strength, he would definitely be of great help to her Yu family. Zhao Fu courteously smiled. "You overpraise me." Yulin happily smiled. "Let's go. I'll treat you to a drink." The two of them sat together and drank. After half a day, Yulin was completely drunk. As for Zhao Fu, he wasn't affected at all. With Zhao Fu's current constitution, there was practically no wine that could make him drunk. Yu Guhua walked into the room and looked at her drunk son and sighed. She had people arrange for him to sleep and looked at Zhao Fu. She had heard about what had happened, but she had never thought that Zhao Fu would be so powerful and be so useful to the Yu family. "Many thanks for helping my Yu family." Yu Guhua smiled at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu smiled. "There's no need to thank me. I've already promised to do my best to help your Yu family." Yu Guhua smiled. "I'll also toast you." Her snow-white hand raised her wine cup and toasted Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu also raised his cup in return. After drinking her cup, Yu Guhua couldn't help but begin to talk about how sensible and hard-working her daughter and son were, as well as how hard it had been for her to raise them by herself. The previous family head wasn't Yu Guhua. Yu Shaoqian had relied on her own hard work and talent to catch the attention of the previous family head. That was why the position of family head had been passed to her. Yu Guhua's original status in the family was only ordinary. Yu Guhua drank as she spoke. It didn't take long for her face to turn red. She was already a bit drunk. She wanted to go back to her room to rest, but her body softened and she fell into Zhao Fu's embrace. Zhao Fu looked at the beautiful woman in his embrace helplessly. This couldn't be blamed on him. Deep in the night, Yu Guhua shyly hugged Zhao Fu. "I originally wanted to introduce you to my daughter and have you help her stabilize her position and develop the family." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "But I like you more." Yu Guhua smiled sweetly. "It's been a long time since I've been this happy. I'm willing to become your woman, but you can't tell others about our relationship, or it'll be very awkward." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. The next day, Zhao Fu arrived at an inn. Opening the door, Yumi leaped into Zhao Fu's embrace. Yumi's face was rosy as she lay in Zhao Fu's embrace. Yu Shaoqian is planning on sending you to participate in the 100-city competition, right? Chapter 2871. Volume 1. Chapter 316. Killing Zhao Fu replied. Yes. Yumi sighed. If you join, there's basically no one who can win. I'll tell my family not to spend too much of a price. Zhao Fu smiled. Don't be so unhappy. I can also do some things for you. Yumi smiled. Count it as being good to me. But I don't have anything for you to do right now. Zhao Fu smiled. Then wait until you think about it. There were still a few days until the competition began. Zhao Fu stayed in the Yu family to comprehend his bloodline. Zhao Fu had already comprehended half of it. With just the other half, he would be able to break through to the 7th stage. Then he would be able to refine hundreds of thousands of bloodlines into his body. Right now, Zhao Fu didn't have that many bloodlines. Back in the dragon race, he hadn't been able to collect them. The Bloodlong Gate had always been helping Zhao Fu gather bloodlines, but Zhao Fu hadn't returned. However, now that he was in the 12 Moons merchant group, he had a great advantage. He could obtain all kinds of strange bloodlines, and the quality would definitely be better than what the Bloodlong Gate could gather. A few days later, Zhao Fu followed Yu Shaoqian and Yu Lin to a large martial stage. This was where the competition would be held. Yulan had also brought Yumi and a tall youth here. Seeing the three of them, she snorted. You've also come. Yulan already knew that Yu Shaoqian had sent Zhao Fu to steal her family's things. She was very afraid of Zhao Fu's strength, but with Yumi's persuasion, she didn't pursue this matter. She also obtained a guarantee that Zhao Fu wouldn't harm her family. Yu Shaoqian smiled. You don't like seeing us? Yulan impolitely replied, Of course. I want nothing more than for you to disappear. Yulin smiled confidently. That's not what you want. We won't disappear, and we'll only grow stronger. Yulan's expression was icy. Yulin's words were the truth. Her family was rapidly developing, but she wasn't willing to admit defeat. She looked at Zhao Fu. Do you want to join our family? Our family will give you 10 times the reward. Yu Shaoqian looked at Zhao Fu. Right now, Zhao Fu was truly important to them. Furthermore, Yulan could give Zhao Fu what he needed. Yulin looked at Zhao Fu nervously. Zhao Fu smiled and said, I have already joined their family, so I will not go back on my word. Said Yulan angrily. I can become your woman, and you can immediately possess everything I have. How does this condition feel? Yu Shaoqian shouldn't be able to fulfill it. Yu Shaoqian smiled. Not necessarily. Yulan stared at Yu Shaoqian. Zhao Fu had the power to suppress Void Realm experts at the Emperor Heaven Realm. His potential was limitless. Yulan wasn't surprised that Yu Shaoqian wanted to become his woman. Yu Shaoqian glanced at the tall youth beside Yulan. Are you sure you want to send him? He doesn't look weak. Yulan smiled. He's the strongest man I've picked out from my family. Of course he won't be weak. Although Yumi had warned Yu Shaoqian that she would send Zhao Fu, Yu Shaoqian didn't want to just randomly send someone. This competition was very important. It represented each family's power, and it could be shown to the higher-ups. Those who performed outstandingly would also be valued by the higher-up. Yu Shaoqian smiled. I hope he'll have a good performance. Yulan nodded with a smile. Yu Shaoqian turned to Zhao Fu and said, Let's go. Zhao Fu nodded. Now that Yu Shaoqian had Zhao Fu, she was completely confident. She disdained arguing with Yulan. Yulan sighed as she watched Yu Shaoqian leave. She knew that with Zhao Fu's power, he would definitely be the final victor. The competition officially began. Many families from the nearby cities had already brought their people over. There weren't many people participating, only a little over 1,000. Compared to the powers that Zhao Fu had participated in before, this number was surprisingly low. Zhao Fu and 1,000 or so people stood on a large stage. These 1,000 or so people were all men, and it seemed that this was a competition for men. There were many spectators around them, and there was a viewing platform above them, on which sat the prestigious people from the various families. There were 4 women sitting in the center seat. One had a flirtatious temperament and an alluring figure. She was called Master Yu. One had a fiery figure and short hair. She was called Yu Qianhe. One had a slender figure and an outstanding temperament. She was called Yu Ye. She was called Yu Do. Their statuses in the 8th Moon's faction were even higher than ordinary family heads. Many family heads had to listen to their orders. This competition was for them to see. The viewing platform was practically filled with women, while the martial stage was filled with men. That formed a sharp contrast. Master Yu smiled charmingly. Let's begin. The stage gave off many rays of light, and medallions appeared in front of everyone on the stage. There were different numbers on them, and the competition was very simple. Those who obtained the same number would compete, and the winner would be able to enter the next round. Zhao Fu's medallion was 139. The 2 medallions could sense each other. Zhao Fu sensed his opponent through his medallion, and Zhao Fu's opponent also sensed Zhao Fu. He walked over to Zhao Fu. He had a scar on his face and emitted an ordinary aura. Originally, Zhao Fu had wanted to call them all at once. These people weren't very strong to Zhao Fu, and he could easily handle them. But then he thought about it, wouldn't that draw too much attention? In the end, Zhao Fu decided to just compete. In any case, he would be the final victor. The scarred young man sensed Zhao Fu's power and found that it was quite ordinary. He said proudly, "I'll let you attack first." Zhao Fu lightly laughed. "Are you sure?" The scarred young man replied, Zhao Fu smiled as he looked at him. He waved his hand, and a massive wave of power sent the young man flying. The young man was unable to resist at all, and he fainted after being sent flying. Zhao Fu did not harm him and only knocked him out. After defeating the young man, a medallion appeared in front of Zhao Fu, and the number on it was 30. Based on the medallion's senses, Zhao Fu found that person. It was a delicate-looking young man who gave off a strong aura. Zhao Fu said, "Let's begin." The delicate-looking young man nodded. Bang! In the next second, the delicate-looking young man was sent flying without being able to resist at all. Another medallion appeared in front of Zhao Fu, and Zhao Fu found his next opponent. It was a valiant-looking big man who gave off an even lighter aura. Zhao Fu's expression was calm as he casually waved his hand, and a massive wave of power sent him flying. This person was still unable to resist at all. Chapter 2872. Volume 1, Chapter 317, Battle. Zhao Fu's performance quickly drew everyone's attention. Who is he? He's really strong. Not a single person can block a single attack from him. I'm not sure. He doesn't look familiar. I've never seen him before. I heard he's from Yu Xiaoqian's family. Yu Xiaoqian's family has been in the limelight recently. Many people are talking about them. That's right. It looks like Yu Xiaoqian's family is about to rise. We should have a good relationship with her family in the future. There's no need to compare this person's strength. He'll definitely be the final victor of this competition. I think so too. Only he has that kind of power. No one can compare to him. Zhao Fu defeated another youth. This was the 7th person Zhao Fu had defeated. Now there were less than 100 people left. To be more accurate, there were less than 100 people still standing. The rest were already lying on the ground. The others also noticed Zhao Fu. A token once again appeared in front of Zhao Fu. The number of branches on it was 9. Zhao Fu followed the number and saw a man with a mustache. The surrounding people stopped and looked at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu walked in front of that man. That man felt a powerful pressure and immediately prepared to defend. Zhao Fu calmly looked at him. With a wave of his hand, a powerful force sent that man flying. He fainted on the ground and couldn't crawl back up. The difference between the two was just that great. Even though the man had put up a defense, he still couldn't resist at all. He was instantly sent flying. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Could they resist such a powerful person? Shouted a skinny man. If this continues, he'll definitely get first place. How about we all attack him together and then decide who's the winner? Everyone looked at each other. Someone immediately agreed, and the others also agreed. They surrounded Zhao Fu, each of them releasing their powerful auras. The spectators also became excited. This was much more interesting. Zhao Fu glanced at the people around him and chuckled. A bunch of mobs. Hearing this, everyone was enraged and they charged at Zhao Fu from all directions with great power. It was quite a shocking scene. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu exploded out with a massive amount of power, forming a powerful shockwave that spread out and instantly sent everyone flying. Not a single person was able to resist at all. Everyone crashed to the ground and blood flowed from the corners of their mouths as they looked at Zhao Fu in shock. They had never thought that Zhao Fu would be so powerful that he could send them flying without even attacking. Zhao Fu didn't want to do this, but since they wanted to force him, he had no other choice. The spectators in the surroundings were completely dumbfounded. They had thought that this would be a spectacular battle, and they had never thought that it would end so quickly. Zhao Fu's strength had completely suppressed everyone else. This man was simply too powerful, and he made everyone feel powerless. Yu Shaoqian smiled. Zhao Fu's shocking performance had also brought glory to the Yu family. Furthermore, they would receive the attention of the higher-ups. Today, they would be able to confirm the Yu family's position. Yulan couldn't help being envious. If her family had such a person, they wouldn't need to be afraid of Yu Shaoqian's family. As for the youth she had chosen, he was unable to resist at all and was directly defeated by Zhao Fu. Master Moon and the other three who were sitting at the front of the spectators' stand also smiled with interest. A judge announced Zhao Fu's victory. As for the second or third place, they were all defeated and lost the right to fight. The spectators cheered, happy to be able to witness such an expert. Following that, Zhao Fu was called to a room. The 4 higher-ups of the 12 Moons merchant group were sitting there. Zhao Fu bowed. "Greetings, everyone," said Yuya. "No need for formalities." Yuya smiled. "Your performance this time was extremely brilliant. We are willing to promote you to the upper echelons of the 12 Moons merchant group and support your family." Zhao Fu bowed once more. "Many thanks, everyone." Yuya asked with interest, "Why are you always wearing your cloak? Take it off for us to see." Zhao Fu took off his cloak, revealing his perfect face. The 4 women were dumbfounded, their hearts pounding. Yuya teasingly extended her arm. "Come here and properly serve us. I guarantee that you won't lack anything in the future." Zhao Fu smiled and walked over. A few hours later, the 4 women were lying beside Zhao Fu. Yuya raised Zhao Fu's chin. "This time we've really picked up a rare treasure. In the future I'm yours. You can do whatever you want with me." Zhao Fu pushed Yuya's hand away and pinched her chin as he smiled and said, "The 4 of you aren't bad either." Yuya lightly laughed. "If you leave this place with us, we'll arrange a good position for you and nurture you to the best of our abilities." Yu Qianhe smiled as she said, "We can give you an even higher position and wealth. I'm sure you won't foolishly refuse us, right?" Zhao Fu's goal was to sneak into the upper echelons. He smiled as he said, "I'm naturally not foolish, I'll agree." Yudo happily laughed as she said, I don't want to be separated from you. In the future, you'll be one of us." Yuya smiled as she said, "In the future, you have to wear your cloak properly. I don't want anyone to discover your looks, nor do I want anyone to steal you away." Zhao Fu smiled and nodded, "I know." Yu Qianhe suddenly thought of something and said, "Your identity is a weakness. If you had our Moon clan's bloodline, it would be great. We could fully support you and give you great power. It's a pity that you're not one of us, so we can only take things one step at a time. Right now, Zhao Fu was at the stage of comprehending his bloodline. Even though it was a pity that he had absorbed the 12 Moon Merchant Group's Moon Clan's bloodline, his aura was still quite complicated and could not be the same as the Moon Clan's people. Yuya smiled as she said, "You don't have to worry. The 12 Moon Merchant Group does not reject outsiders and will take in outsiders. In actuality, I want to keep you by my side and focus on serving us. However, I have a feeling that I won't be able to subdue you like that." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Indeed, I won't do that. I have my own goals." Yuya lightly laughed as she said, "All right, we understand. Let's not continue on this topic. You can bring us back now." Zhao Fu said, "Wait for a while, I need to stay here to take care of some things." Hearing this, the women nodded and agreed. Zhao Fu returned to the Yu family. Yu Shaoqian was also smiling. Yuya had given her family many benefits. Right now, her family was ranked first in this city. This was due to Yu Shaoqian and Zhao Fu's help. Chapter 2873. Zhao Fu looked at Yu Shaoqian. "It's time to fulfill your promise." Yu Shaoqian nodded. "Follow me." Zhao Fu followed Yu Shaoqian to a large room hundreds of meters wide. The ceiling was pitch black, and there was a 3-meter-tall stone platform at the center. A silver-white stone floated on top of it. Its surface was a bit rough, and it emitted faint moonlight. This stone was a moonstone. Its use was the same as an inheritance stone. It could allow a family's inheritance to continue, and it also had the ability to protect a family's karmic luck. Rumor had it that the original moonstone was formed when the 8 moon immortals used their world-shaking power to split off a portion of 12 moons. The original moonstone had continuously split off, and although the moon energy contained within it wasn't as strong as the original, it was still extremely pure. Only the family head could split off a moonstone. Yu Shaoqian walked onto the stone platform and pointed a finger. The 1-meter-wide stone released intense moonlight, and a fist-sized stone floated out of the center. This was a moonstone that had been split off. With this moonstone, you could directly establish a family. Receiving the moonstone, Yu Shaoqian walked over to Zhao Fu and handed the moonstone to Zhao Fu. She curiously asked, "What are you planning on doing with this moonstone?" Zhao Fu received the moonstone and smiled. "I want to absorb this kind of moon energy." Yu Shaoqian wasn't surprised. Moonstones contained powerful and pure moon energy. The moon race's members could directly absorb moon energy to increase their own power. She smiled. "My family's moonstone's energy is only SOSO. Now that you're a member of the upper echelon, you should be able to obtain higher-grade moonstones." Zhao Fu nodded. In truth, Zhao Fu's ambitions were even greater. He wanted to ascend to the moon and control the moon's core energy. These moonstones weren't enough to satisfy him. Yu Shaoqian continued, "In the future, perhaps I'll need your help again. I might have to trouble you." Zhao Fu smiled. "Yes, I'll do my best to help you." Yu Shaoqian looked at Zhao Fu. "Then what do you want?" Zhao Fu thought about it before replying, "I don't really want anything, it's just to repay your kindness." Yu Shaoqian smiled. "With your own power, no matter where you go, you'll be valued. You don't need to thank me. In the future, my Yu family will need your support and help. This bit of gratitude is nothing." Zhao Fu smiled at Yu Shaoqian. "Then what will you give me?" Yu Shaoqian asked. "Yu Shaoqian, Yu Shaoqian, Yu Fu." Looking at Yu Shaoqian, Zhao Fu didn't stand on ceremony. An hour later, Zhao Fu sat cross-legged on the ground and prepared to absorb a moonstone. Yu Shaoqian's face was red as she lay on the side. "Moon energy, that Fu who that said. Feng. Yen to child, Zhao, and Zhao moonstone." Zhao Fu gently absorbed this bit of moon energy, and the light dissipated. Zhao Fu had also obtained this kind of moon energy. After absorbing this kind of moon energy, Zhao Fu felt like he had obtained 3 abilities. The first was that his body seemed to become as light as a feather, like a falling leaf. Zhao Fu thought that this was an important ability to ascend to the moon. As long as he raised this ability to its peak, he would definitely be able to ascend to the moon. The second ability was to absorb moon energy. Most people could also absorb moon energy from the sky, but Zhao Fu's ability was even faster. It was like the moon was one with him. The third ability was called the moon domain. Under the moon, one's cultivation speed, comprehension, perception, and constitution would all be strengthened. This feeling was rather ordinary. Zhao Fu looked at the moon stone on the platform. He had an urge to absorb it as well, but Zhao Fu didn't. If he absorbed it, Yu Xiaoqian's family would be gone. Furthermore, this moon energy wasn't very strong, nor was it very pure. Zhao Fu needed a stronger moon stone. Yu Xiaoqian smiled. You finished absorbing it this quickly? Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Let's leave this place. Yu Xiaoqian looked at Zhao Fu. I have one more request. What is it? Asked Zhao Fu. Yu Xiaoqian shyly said, Yes. I hope you won't tell others about our relationship. I don't want others to know. Zhao Fu smiled and nodded. Not long after leaving the private room, Zhao Fu was about to leave the Yu family and follow Master Yu to a higher level place. But at that moment, Yu Mi and Yu Lan, as well as a woman who looked somewhat similar to Yu Mi, came to the Yu family. They said they wanted to make peace with the Yu family and not fight anymore. That woman was called Yu Rong. She was Yu Lan's mother, the previous family head, and Yu Mi's big sister. Now that Yu Xiaoqian's family was so powerful and had the support of the upper echelons, Yu Rong had no choice but to bring people to make peace. Otherwise, her family would continue to be suppressed and eventually decline. Yu Mi was worried that Yu Xiaoqian wouldn't agree. Because the two sides had fought many times before, it would be difficult to make peace. So the 3 of them first went to find Zhao Fu. I'll have to trouble you to persuade them for us. Zhao Fu smiled. No problem. It's just a minor matter. Yu Mi gave a trace of a smile and said seductively, Thanks. I'll come find you later. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, I'll be leaving soon. Yu Mi was flabbergasted. That fast? Zhao Fu nodded. Yu Mi was disappointed. Then what about me? You won't abandon me, right? Zhao Fu smiled and pulled her into his embrace. How could that be possible? Yu Mi smiled sweetly as she hugged Zhao Fu. Yu Rong examined Zhao Fu. She already knew about the relationship between Yu Mi and Zhao Fu. Yu Mi had personally told her that although she had a man in the past, she didn't like that man and had divorced him several years ago. Now, she was still alone. After hearing Yu Mi's words, she became very interested in Zhao Fu. Yu Lan also knew about this, so her expression didn't change. Yu Rong smiled seductively. In the future, you'll be a member of the 12 Moons Merchant Group's upper echelon. You have to help my family. Zhao Fu looked at Yu Rong and hugged her as he smiled and said, Sure. Yu Rong didn't struggle. She smiled. I've heard my little sister talk about you. I also want to experience it. Hurry up. Zhao Fu didn't say anything. He used his actions to speak for him. The room became chaotic. During this time, Zhao Fu called over Yu Xiaoqian and Yu Guhua. After a few hours, under Zhao Fu's mediation, the two families let go of their enmity and joined together to help each other in the future. Zhao Fu wasn't someone who would leave his name after doing good deeds. After dealing with this matter, he left the Yu family and followed Master Yu and the others to the core region of the 8th Moon Merchant Group. Chapter 2874. Book 1, Chapter 319. Battle. Zhao Fu was made a manager by the 4 of them, and his authority was much greater than that of the Yu family's leader. However, Zhao Fu was not satisfied with his current authority, and he wanted more authority to obtain moonstones, collect bloodlines, and obtain the bronze shards. Zhao Fu first gained some information about the Eighth Moon's faction, wanting to find a way to obtain more authority. Zhao Fu also found some information about himself. Anyone who could obtain information about the origin source, the evil immortal's successor, or the primordial era's young master would be greatly rewarded, and the various large factions treated these matters with great importance. Zhao Fu thought about it and decided that he could only sell himself in exchange for a higher position. An hour later, Zhao Fu came to an elegant-looking room. There was a valiant-looking woman in the room who was sipping tea. She was called Yu Longlong, and she was a moon attendant of the Eighth Moon's faction. She had an extremely prestigious status, and her status was only below that of the Eighth Moon Immortal. Yu Longlong glanced at Zhao Fu. "I heard that you know about the origin source?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Yes, sir." Yu Longlong looked at Zhao Fu and gave a trace of a smile as she said, "Tell me what you know." Zhao Fu smiled confidently as he said, "The origin source is currently collecting the bronze shards." Yu Longlong lightly laughed as she said, "Everyone knows that." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "He's already collected most of the bronze shards. I'm sure you don't know about this, sir?" Yu Longlong's expression became serious as she looked at Zhao Fu and asked, "How do you know?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "It's because I was fortunate enough to see that origin source from afar." Yu Longlong felt quite spirited as she said seriously, "Immediately tell me everything you know." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Back then, when I was passing by a barren mountain, I saw the weather change, so I went over to take a look out of curiosity. In the distance, I saw a young man sitting cross-legged on a large mountain with 10 or so shards floating around him, which formed an incomplete ancient mirror." Yu Longlong nodded. Everyone now knew that the Child of Origin was collecting bronze shards. However, they did not know what kind of shards the Child of Origin was collecting. The 12 Months Merchant Group deduced that it was the bronze mirror shard, and now, Zhao Fu had confirmed it. If the Son of Origin had already collected most of the bronze shards, then he would definitely return to the 12 Months Merchant Group, because the 12 Months Merchant Group still had 4 bronze shards. Yu Longlong looked at Zhao Fu and said, "What else do you know?" Zhao Fu pondered for a moment before replying, "The Child of Origin is very powerful. He has the ability to repair the ancient bronze mirror. The severely damaged and weathered fragments are as good as new in the hands of the Child of Origin. If he collects all the fragments, he will definitely be able to repair the ancient bronze mirror." Yu Longlong wasn't surprised by this. Zhao Fu continued, "I think that bronze mirror should be an origin weapon. I don't know why it shattered, but the origin child doesn't seem to know either. He's been studying the bronze shard in his hand." Yu Longlong asked in surprise, "You don't even know about origin children?" Zhao Fu nodded. From the looks of it, he doesn't seem to know anything. Yu Longlong said to himself, "He's the Child of Origin and is collecting bronze shards, yet he doesn't know anything about them. This is quite strange." Zhao Fu asked, "Sir, do you know anything about those bronze shards?" Yu Longlong said, "I know a bit, but it's been too long, so I don't know the details." Zhao Fu had been collecting information about bronze shards this entire time, and hearing that Yu Longlong knew about them, he felt quite delighted and asked, "Sir, do you know about them?" Yu Longlong said, "This ancient bronze mirror originally belonged to someone from the origin race. I don't know much about that person, but he has an extremely prestigious identity. The origin race specially built a massive tomb for him, and only after the tomb collapsed did the bronze shards appear in the human world." Zhao Fu felt quite surprised. So that was how it was. It was different from what he had expected. Yu Longlong said, "That's all I know. Do you know anything else about the Child of Origin?" Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "His side profile and voice are both very beautiful, a kind of beauty that can captivate people. It's a beauty that can't be found in this world." This was purely Zhao Fu praising himself shamelessly, even though it was the truth. Yu Longlong asked, Will you be able to recognize him the next time you see him? Zhao Fu nodded. I should be able to. How could Zhao Fu not recognize himself? Yu Longlong would never have thought that the person in front of her was the child of origin. Yu Longlong gave a satisfied smile. Zhao Fu continued, I also know some information about the evil immortal's descendant. What? You know about him too? Yu Longlong asked in surprise. The evil immortal's descendant was even more mysterious than the child of origin. Everyone only knew of his existence, but no one had ever seen him. They did not even know if he was a man or a woman. Zhao Fu said, back when the child of origin caused an abnormal sign, the evil immortal's descendant was also drawn over. He and the evil immortal's descendant confronted each other for a while, but I was too far away and did not hear clearly. The child of origin and the evil immortal's descendant appeared in the same place. Thinking about that, Yu Longlong's expression became serious. This was a big matter. Yu Longlong continued to ask, what kind of person was the evil immortal's descendant? Zhao Fu replied, he was a man with blood-red hair and wore a mask. I don't know what he looked like, but he gave off an extremely evil, crazy, and twisted aura. Yu Longlong thought for a moment and nodded. Wait here for me. I need to report this information. Zhao Fu nodded. Half a day later, Yu Longlong returned with a smile and said to Zhao Fu, your information is very useful to the December Merchant Group, so you can stay by my side in the future. Zhao Fu smiled. Thank you, lady. Now that Zhao Fu had become a moon attendant, his status had surpassed Moon Master and the other women. They were only managers of the 8th Moon's faction, and to others, this was a meteoric rise. Zhao Fu returned to the house that Moon Master had prepared for him. Moon Master and the other 3 women looked at Zhao Fu bitterly. They knew that Zhao Fu had become a moon attendant, and his status had instantly surpassed theirs. His status had changed so quickly that they could not react at all. They had planned to slowly support Zhao Fu and control Zhao Fu so that they could prevent Zhao Fu from betraying them in the future, and they could enjoy sex with him every day. However, reality was not what they had expected. They could not control Zhao Fu at all. They suddenly realized that the man in front of them was not ordinary at all. Looking at the 4 women, Zhao Fu understood what was going on and gave an apologetic smile as he said, I'm sorry. Moon Master lightly harumphed. So you still know that you're sorry? You've betrayed us less than a day after coming here. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, this is not a betrayal. Now that my status is more noble than yours, it's my turn to take care of you and… Chapter 2875. Book 1. Chapter 320. Master Moon's expression softened. At least you have a conscience. Yu Qianhe asked curiously, how did your status rise so quickly? Zhao Fu smiled and said, I've given some information regarding the child of origin and the evil immortal's successor to Lady Moon, attendant. The 4 women were astonished to hear this. You know about the heir of the essence and the evil immortal's successor? Now they understood why Zhao Fu's status rose so quickly. It turned out that he knew about those 2 unmatched existences. This was an extremely important matter. Master Moon asked, how do you know all this? Zhao Fu said with a smile, I was lucky enough to know a little. Moon Master still wanted to say something, but Zhao Fu was not interested in continuing. He stepped forward and held her in his arms, and the room became chaotic again. The next day, Zhao Fu followed Yu Longlong to inspect the merchant group's affairs. When everyone saw Zhao Fu by Yu Longlong's side, they couldn't help but feel a bit unconvinced. They had no idea how Zhao Fu had managed to become one of Moon attendant. Yu Longlong knew a bit about Zhao Fu. She also knew that Zhao Fu was very talented, so she wanted to seriously nurture Zhao Fu. That was why she had brought her around. However, she still didn't know that Zhao Fu was already planning to further elevate his status. Suddenly, a white figure flashed by, so fast that it was impossible to miss it with one's eyes. The spirit realm expert saw what it was and smiled as he said, "It's the Moon Immortal's pet, the Moon Tiger. Yu Xian, I'll give you a chance to capture it. Perhaps you'll be able to meet our merchant group's supreme existence, the Moon Immortal." Zhao Fu immediately turned into a black light and charged towards the white figure. The white figure was extremely fast and very agile. It dodged left and right, making it impossible for him to catch it. Boom! An explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu gave off a powerful aura and his speed increased by many times. He caught up to the white figure and grabbed out with his hand. The white figure's speed suddenly increased by several times, and it shot out like a white beam of light, causing Zhao Fu's grab to miss. Zhao Fu immediately turned into a ray of black light and rushed over. The white light continued to fly forward, and the black light followed closely behind it. As they got closer and closer, Zhao Fu stretched out his hand and grabbed it. It was a white tiger that was as big as a cat, and there was a moon pattern on its forehead. It looked quite cute. The moon tiger struggled in Zhao Fu's hand. It wanted to bite Zhao Fu, waving its claws wildly. A haughty woman appeared and said, "Give me the moon tiger." Her name was Yu Qin, and she was also the 8th Moon Immortal's moon attendant. Her status was as noble as Yu Longlong's, and she managed the 8th Moon's branch family on behalf of the Moon Immortal. Hearing this, Zhao Fu sensei handed Moon Tiger to Yu Qin. Yu Qin hugged the Moon Tiger and stroked its head to calm it down. Yu Qin looked at Zhao Fu and said, "This is the Moon Immortal's pet. Do you know the consequences of hurting it?" Zhao Fu felt quite uncomfortable as he said, "I know. I didn't hurt it, I just caught it." Yu Qin coldly harumphed, "You dare to talk back to me?" Even though Yu Qin had spirit realm cultivation, Zhao Fu did not feel much fear. It was just that this was December. Zhao Fu could not do anything, and he lowered his head and said, "This lowly one knows his wrongs." Yu Qin's expression was cold, and she wanted to say something. At that moment Yu Longlong walked over and smiled as he said, "I told him to catch the Moon Tiger. His actions were a bit crude, so let's forget about it." Yu Qin hugged the Moon Tiger and did not plan on continuing as she asked, "Who is he?" Yu Longlong smiled as he said, "He's the person who reported about the Origin Child and the Evil Immortal's son. I plan to properly nurture him." Yu Qin glanced at Zhao Fu and said bluntly, "I don't think he'll do well." Yu Longlong smiled as he said, "I think he's not bad." Yu Qin calmly said, "Up to you." After saying that, Yu Qin left with the Moon Tiger in her arms. Zhao Fu looked at Yu Qin's departing figure and felt quite annoyed. He would definitely vent his anger when he had the chance. Yu Longlong looked at Zhao Fu and smiled as she said, "She's that kind of person. Don't mind her." Zhao Fu nodded. After returning to his room, Zhao Fu continued to gather information and looked for an opportunity to advance his status. However, he found that it was very difficult, as he was only one step away from becoming a moon servant, which required the Moon Immortal's attention and appointment. No one else had the power to raise Zhao Fu's status. The Moon Immortal was the key, and Zhao Fu began to gather information about the Moon Immortal. The 8th Moon Immortal was called the Moon Saintess, and it was said that she was as beautiful as a fairy and incredibly holy. She was ranked 8th among the 12 Moon Immortals, and her strength was the same as the other Moon Immortals. She was just a bit away from breaking through to the half-celestial realm, but she had been stuck in this mirror realm. Zhao Fu found out a very important piece of information, which was that the Moon Saintess had been searching for something for many years. With the 12 months financial group strength, they could find anything she wanted, unless it was something extremely rare or something that had already disappeared from this world. The Moon Saintess was looking for moon liquid, which could only be found on the moon. It was a highly condensed product of moon energy, and it was quite rare on the moon. No one had been to the moon for many years, so moon liquid had naturally disappeared from this world. Even with the 12 Moon Merchant Group's strength, they could not find it. However, Zhao Fu just happened to have it, and he had obtained it during the sorcerer tribe's trial. Within the palace, there was a tall, beautiful, and pure woman sitting on a carpet. She was hugging a moon tiger and playing with the baby moon tiger. She was the moon saintess. A young female attendant came up and reported, "Moon Immortal, someone wants to see you and says that she has the moon liquid you need." Hearing this, the moon saintess said in delight, "Hurry and tell her to come see me." A black-cloaked figure walked in and respectfully bowed to the moon saintess. "Greetings, Moon Immortal." The moon saintess asked somewhat anxiously, "Do you really have something as rare as moon liquid?" Zhao Fu nodded and took out the crystal bottle containing moon liquid. The moon saintess stretched out her hand and the crystal bottle flew into her hand. Looking at the silver-white liquid within the crystal bottle, the moon saintess smiled and said, "It really is moon liquid. After searching for so long, I've finally found it." The moon saintess looked up at Zhao Fu and asked curiously, "How did you obtain this bottle of moon liquid?" Zhao Fu replied, "I obtained it by chance and heard that you needed it, so I immediately came to tell you." The moon saintess smiled as she said, "What's your name? How come I don't have any impression of you?" Zhao Fu said respectfully, "I'm Yu Xian." The moon saintess looked quite surprised and lightly laughed as she said, "So you were the one who reported the origin child and the evil immortal's successor. Now you even have moon liquid. It seems that you are not simple at all." Zhao Fu said humbly, "I was just lucky, I didn't do much." Chapter 2876. Book 1, Chapter 321. The moon saintess smiled and said, "What do you want?" Zhao Fu respectfully bowed and said, "I wish to become a moon attendant of the moon immortal and serve the moon immortal." The moon saintess smiled and said, "All right, I'll appoint you as a moon attendant. You have to perform well in the future and do not disappoint me. You're the first person to become a moon attendant so quickly." Zhao Fu smiled and said, "Your Highness, I definitely will not disappoint you." The moon saintess said to the female attendants beside her, "Call the moon attendants over." The appointment of a moon attendant was a big matter, as moon attendants held great authority and could affect the entire moon faction. Their appointment could not be casually handled. 6 women walked into the palace, and among them was Yu Longlong and Yu Qin. Zhao Fu had never seen the other 4 before. One had a cold aura and a sexy figure, and she was called Yu Ni. One had a beautiful face and an alluring aura, and she was called Yu Jiao Jiao. One had a sweet appearance and a slim figure, and she was called Yu He. And one had a graceful figure and a pure aura, and she was called Yu Shui. The 6 of them had already heard that the moon saintess was going to appoint a new moon attendant and felt quite curious as to what kind of person the new moon attendant would be like. Yu Longlong and Yu Qin looked at Zhao Fu in confusion. Why was he here by himself? Could he be the new moon attendant? The moon saintess smiled and said, "Let me introduce him. He's called Yu Xian, and he's my new moon attendant." Yu Qin's heart sank. It was indeed him, and she immediately said, "He just joined the 8th moon faction. How can he become the most important moon attendant?" Yu and I also said, "Your Highness, his cultivation speed is too fast." Yu Shui said softly, "Your Highness, I also feel that he's a little unsuitable." The moon saintess smiled and said, "I know, but I think quite highly of him. He provided me with the information about the origin child and the evil immortal's successor, and he also helped me find moon liquid." The 6 women looked at Zhao Fu in surprise. They had searched for many years to no avail, but this person actually had moon liquid. "If it's the moon immortal's choice, I have no objections." Yu Jiao glanced at Zhao Fu and said with a smile, "I have no objections. I hope he won't disappoint Her Highness and wholeheartedly serve the 8th moon's faction." Even though Yu Qin was against it, no one else had any objections. What was important was that the moon goddess had taken a liking to him, so she had no choice but to say, "Your Highness, Moon Immortal, will make the decision." The moon saintess looked at Zhao Fu and said, Come forward and accept the power of the Moon Immortal of the 8th Moon faction. The Moon Immortal's power was inherited from the 12 ancient Khanate Moon Immortals, and it was extremely powerful. It could even change the heavens and the earth, making it far more powerful than ordinary Moon Immortals. It could be said that the Moon's essence power was almost the same as the Moon Immortal's essence power. Zhao Fu walked forward with a smile. The Moon Holy Daughter stretched out a hand, and a moon mark appeared on her palm. She gently pushed forward, and a moon-shaped power flowed out from her body. It gave off a massive aura as it shot towards Zhao Fu, entering Zhao Fu's body. Boom! A powerful aura exploded out from Zhao Fu's body, spreading out like a flood and making everyone feel quite startled. The Moon Saintess was slightly surprised. When she sent her power into Zhao Fu's body, she felt that Zhao Fu's body was like a bottomless pit that sucked away her power. Boom! An explosion sounded out as the Moon Saintess exploded out with a powerful aura, and an even more powerful Moon Immortal's power entered Zhao Fu's body. Yulong Long and the others felt quite surprised. As the powerful Moon Immortal's power continuously entered Zhao Fu's body, Zhao Fu's powerful aura became more and more powerful. However, it still did not fill up Zhao Fu's body. The Moon Saintess' expression became slightly serious as a silver-white aura flame ignited around her body, and her aura continuously spread out like a wild gale. Boom! The Moon Saintess pushed out with her hand, and an even more powerful power flowed out and entered Zhao Fu's body with a massive aura. Yu Jiaojiao and the others looked shocked. If such a powerful Moon Immortal's power entered an ordinary person's body, that person's body would definitely explode. However, Zhao Fu was completely fine, as if it was not enough. A few minutes later, a crescent mark appeared on Zhao Fu's forehead, and his body gave off strands of silver-white aura. Only then did Zhao Fu's body become full. The Moon Saintess let out a breath of relief. She had sent too much power into Zhao Fu's body, causing her to feel slightly weakened. She had thought that Zhao Fu's body would never be full. However, even though she did not know what kind of power Zhao Fu possessed, she could sense that Zhao Fu's constitution was incredibly terrifying. After absorbing the massive Moon Immortal's power, Zhao Fu smiled and bowed towards the Moon Saintess. "Thank you, Your Highness, Moon Immortal." The Moon Saintess smiled as she said, I'm becoming more and more interested in you. If you work for me in the future, I won't mistreat you." Zhao Fu nodded as he said, "Understood." The Moon Saintess looked at the others and said, "He's only just become a moon attendant, so if there's anything he doesn't understand, tell him. You can all leave." "Yes." The others obeyed. After everyone left the palace, Yulong Long looked at the breakfast being prepared with a complicated expression. Just yesterday, Zhao Fu had been her superior and subordinate, but now their statuses were the same. The other women felt quite curious about Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu seemed quite mysterious. Yu Qin lightly harumphed, "I never thought that you'd have such ability to rise so quickly. I underestimated you, but don't be too confident. If you don't perform well, I'll ask Her Highness, Moon Immortal, to strip you of your status as a moon attendant." Zhao Fu said with a trace of domineeringness, "Shut up." The women looked quite confused. Zhao Fu had seemed so gentle and polite just a moment ago, but now, he seemed like a completely different person. Yulong Long was the most surprised because she had interacted with Zhao Fu the longest. She felt that Zhao Fu's character and conduct were quite good, and she respected him greatly. She simply could not believe that he would speak in such a domineering tone. Before, Zhao Fu had tolerated Yu Qin due to his status, but now that Zhao Fu's status was not any lower than Yu Qin's, there was no need for that. Yu Qin said angrily, "How dare you speak to me like that?" Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, "Why wouldn't I dare? Do you think that you're very noble? Let me tell you, I'll trample you underfoot soon." Yu Qin was so angry that she was about to attack Zhao Fu. Yu Jiaojiao and the others hurriedly stopped Yu Qin and said, "He's just become a moon attendant. If you attack him, Her Highness Moon Immortal will be displeased. Yuqin coldly harumphed, I'll let you off this time, but don't do it again. Zhao Fu did not say anything and directly walked to the side. Yuqin was in the spirit realm, so if they fought, Zhao Fu would be at a disadvantage. Yuqin angrily glared at Zhao Fu and started to think about how to strip Zhao Fu of his status as a moon attendant. Chapter 2877, Volume 1, 322. The news of Zhao Fu becoming a moon attendant spread very quickly. Moon Master and the others stared dumbfoundedly at Zhao Fu. They had never imagined that the man they had brought back would become an incomparably noble moon attendant. Within the Eighth Moon's faction, other than the Moon Immortal, moon attendants had the highest status. Just the fact that Zhao Fu had become a moon attendant was enough to shock them. Now that Zhao Fu had directly become a moon attendant, they were unable to accept it. Yu Shaoqian and the others were also extremely shocked. Zhao Fu had only been gone for a few days, but his status had already become so noble. However, Zhao Fu becoming a moon attendant was an extremely good thing for them. Yulan smiled and said to her mother, Yu Rong, Mom, your judgment of people really is accurate. You're really good at judging people. Now it's worth it for me to sacrifice my body. Yu Rong charmingly smiled. His performance has also surprised me. I thought that he would quickly become a manager, and that our Yu family could rely on him to grow. It's a pity he can't always stay by our side. I miss him a bit. Yu Rong smiled. I miss him too. I don't know where his charm comes from. When he comes back next time, we'll let him leave once he's satisfied. Yumi nodded. Now that Zhao Fu had become a moon attendant, he had immense authority. He could use this authority to benefit himself. He might not be able to obtain bronze fragments, but he could use his status as a moon attendant to collect all kinds of strange and precious bloodlines. Zhao Fu gave an order, and all kinds of bloodlines were delivered to Zhao Fu. There was no lack of sovereign or imperial bloodlines. This was much faster than Zhao Fu collecting them. In fact, some bloodlines couldn't be collected and required him to personally obtain them. In just a few days, Zhao Fu had obtained over 1 million bloodlines. There were insect bloodlines, bird bloodlines, and various primal chaos race bloodlines. As long as Zhao Fu's nefarious immortal bloodline reached the 6th level, he would be able to absorb the 1,000,000 types of bloodlines and advance his nefarious immortal bloodline to the 7th level. If he could reach the 8th level of the immortal evil immortal bloodline, which was the same level that the immortal evil immortal had reached, Zhao Fu believed that he would surpass the immortal evil immortal bloodline. Instead of possessing a peak saint level bloodline, he would possess the original immortal evil immortal bloodline. Thinking to there, Zhao Fu could not help but smile, feeling quite excited. Yu Qianhe walked into the room and said, Her Highness Moon Immortal is calling for you. Hearing this, Zhao Fu was not surprised. He nodded with a smile and left the room. He went to the main hall and bowed, Greetings, Your Highness Moon Immortal. The Moon Holy Maiden's appearance had become slightly more beautiful, and her aura had also become more powerful. She had most likely obtained many benefits from using the moon liquid. The Moon Saintess smiled and said, I heard that you collected over 1 million types of bloodlines. I wonder what use you have for them. Zhao Fu looked at Yuqin, who was standing beside him, and understood that she had reported this matter to the Moon Immortal. There were over 1 million bloodlines, including all sorts of rare bloodlines, and they were all extremely valuable. Yuqin wanted to use this to put Zhao Fu in danger. Zhao Fu smiled confidently as he said, I've met the immortal evil immortal's successor once, and I want to use the many bloodlines to attract him. I might be able to obtain even more information about him. The Moon Saintess asked in surprise, Can you really attract the immortal evil immortal's successor? Zhao Fu replied, It's only a possibility. The Moon Saintess smiled as she said, As long as you can attract the immortal evil immortal's successor, I'll leave the 1,000,000 bloodlines to you. Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Thank you, Your Highness Moon Immortal. I have one more thing to ask." The Moon Saintess smiled as she asked, "What is it?" Zhao Fu said, "How does the 12 Moons Merchant Group view the immortal evil immortal's successor? I will act according to Your Highness Moon Immortal's wishes." The Moon Saintess said, "Actually, our attitude towards him is rather neutral, and there are no grudges between us. If we use the million bloodlines to exchange for his kindness, not only will we not have to worry about the immortal evil immortal's successor harming our merchant group, but we can also get him to work for the merchant group." Zhao Fu said, "I understand. If we attract the immortal evil immortal's successor, I will handle my relationship with him properly." The Moon Saintess smiled as she nodded. "That's right. Where did you get the moon liquid from? Do the other moon immortals also want this moon liquid?" Zhao Fu thought about it. "I obtained it from a graveyard near the Witch Clan. I've already checked the graveyard carefully, and there's only one bottle of moon liquid." The Moon Saintess muttered to herself, "The Witch Clan? Did you obtain it there?" Zhao Fu waited by the side and did not speak. After 2 minutes, the Moon Saintess smiled and said, "If you have any more information about the moon liquid or the moon liquid, tell me immediately. I will reward you handsomely." Zhao Fu understood that this was an opportunity, so he asked, "Your Highness Moon Immortal, if I find the immortal evil immortal's successor or the moon liquid, how will Your Highness reward me?" Yu Qin coldly harumphed, "You still dare to make requests of Your Highness Moon Immortal? Following Your Highness Moon Immortal's orders and contributing to Your Highness Moon Immortal is our duty and the meaning of our existence." The Moon Saintess looked at Yu Qin, indicating that she should not continue speaking. She smiled as she said to Zhao Fu, "What do you want?" Zhao Fu said, "I want to obtain a portion of the primordial moon stone's power." The primordial moonstone was a moonstone that was cut from the moon. It contained the purest and most powerful moon power, and its effects were 10,000 times better than normal moonstones. The Moon Saintess' expression became somewhat serious. The primordial moonstone was very important to the 12 Moons Merchant Group and could affect the 12 Moons Merchant Group's fate. The Moon Saintess looked at Zhao Fu and asked, "What do you want to do?" Zhao Fu did not hide his goal and said directly, "I want to obtain the primordial moonstone's primordial moon power. I want to ascend to the moon." The Moon Saintess could not help but lightly laugh. "You're thinking too simply. Do you think ascending to the moon is that simple? If it was that simple, we moon immortals would have long since ascended to the moon and not stayed on the ground." Zhao Fu insisted, "I know that I'm not as good as Your Highness Moon Immortal, but I still want to try." The Moon Saintess said, "The primordial moonstone's primordial moon power can only be possessed by moon immortals. Others cannot possess this kind of power. However, as long as you can display great value, I can make an exception and let you control primordial moon power." Zhao Fu let out a sigh of relief. He had thought that if he could not obtain primordial moon power, then Zhao Fu would be at his wits' end. After all, moon immortals were experts who were about to become half-immortals. Zhao Fu said, "I understand. I will definitely bring more value to Moon Immortal and will not disappoint Your Highness Moon Immortal's trust." The Moon Saintess smiled and nodded. Zhao Fu asked, "Your Highness Moon Immortal, is there anything else?" The Moon Saintess shook her head, "There's nothing else. You can all leave." Zhao Fu and Yu Qin left the hall together. Zhao Fu looked at Yu Qin provocatively and disdainfully as he left, causing Yu Qin to hate Zhao Fu even more. Chapter 2878. Book 1. Chapter 323. After returning to his room, Zhao Fu started to think. He did not have any moon liquid right now, and the matter of being the evil immortal's legatee would be easy to deal with. After all, he was the evil immortal's legatee, and the Moon Holy Maiden would not have thought of this. Right now, the most important thing was the moon liquid, but Zhao Fu didn't know where to find it. If he couldn't find the moon liquid, then he would have to find something of equal value or something even more precious. Zhao Fu thought of his own blood. His blood was definitely the most precious blood in the world, and the moon liquid didn't even qualify to compare. Zhao Fu had a plan in mind. A few days later, Zhao Fu left the moon ground and stayed outside for a day before returning to the moon ground. He pretended to be excited as he reported to the palace, "Your Majesty, Moon Immortal, I've successfully contacted the legendary Evil Immortal's successor." Moon Saintess said in surprise. So fast. Countless people had been searching for this Evil Immortal's successor, especially those from the Eastern Alliance. However, they had not been able to find him. However, Zhao Fu had found him in just a few days. Zhao Fu said with a smile, "I used over 1,000,000 precious bloodlines as a lure. That Evil Immortal's successor could not help but be moved. Thus, he took the initiative to find me." The Moon Saintess smiled and nodded. "And then," Zhao Fu said, "this time I left to meet the Evil Immortal's successor. Because the Evil Immortal's successor didn't want me to report this to you, I made the decision to meet the Evil Immortal's successor and express the 12 Moons Merchant Group's attitude. The Evil Immortal's successor promised that he would not harm the 12 Moons Merchant Group in the future." The Moon Maiden chuckled. "Is it that simple?" Zhao Fu smiled as he replied, "That's right, I gave him 1,000,000 types of bloodlines, which made the Evil Immortal's successor incredibly happy. It solved a big problem for him, so he readily agreed and even gave me a bottle of his own blood." The Moon Saintess exclaimed, "Take it out and let me see." Zhao Fu took out a glass bottle filled with scarlet blood that emitted an evil and sinister aura. This vial of blood had been processed by Zhao Fu, leaving behind only the power of the Evil Immortal's successor. Everything else had been erased. Otherwise, it would be revealed that the Evil Immortal's successor, the Son of Essence, and the primordial dragon race's young lord were the same person, and Zhao Fu's identity would be exposed. A boundless power grabbed the glass bottle in Zhao Fu's hand and flew it to the Moon Maiden. The Moon Maiden took a closer look at the blood in the bottle. She sensed the crazed, murderous, and bloody aura. This was indeed the bloodline of the Evil Immortal. The Moon Saintess' expression became somewhat serious as she said, "Wait here for now. I have something to do and have to leave." Zhao Fu replied, "Yes." Zhao Fu knew what the Moon Lady had gone to do. She must have gathered the other Moon Immortals to discuss the matter, as well as how to deal with the bottle of blood. Although the other powers in the bottle of blood had been erased, the bloodline was still extremely rare. Half a day later, the Moon Saintess returned with a big smile. "Yu Xian, you've done a great deed this time." Seeing the Moon Saintess smile, Zhao Fu understood that the bottle of blood was highly valued, so he smiled and said, "I'm working for Her Majesty, the Moon Immortal. It's all because of Your Majesty." The Moon Saintess lightly laughed as she said, "Don't you want the primordial moonstone's power? I'll fulfill your wish, come with me." Zhao Fu felt delighted and followed the Moon Saintess to a stone stage that was 10 or so meters tall. Above the stone stage floated a round, silvery white stone that was 10,000 meters wide and gave off a boundless and pure moon power. It was as if he was facing a real moon, and it was incredibly shocking. The Moon Saintess smiled as she said, "This is the moonstone that the 8th Moon Immortal cut off from the 8th moon. It contains the purest and most powerful moon power in the world. Come up and give it a try, see if you can grasp this power." Zhao Fu smiled as he walked under the massive moonstone and sat down cross-legged, closing his eyes. The crescent moon mark on his forehead appeared, and strands of silvery white moon power continuously flowed out. Now, Zhao Fu was using the moon power that he had grasped to draw out the moonstone's power. Zhao Fu's body gave off a silvery white aura as he floated into the moonstone. At first, the moonstone did not react at all, but it slowly started to move. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the moonstone slowly rose. When it reached a certain height, a massive silvery white wave of light swept out, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. A massive wave of moon power covered the ground. A massive wave of moon power entered Zhao Fu's body below, causing Zhao Fu's body to give off an intense, blinding silvery white light. Boundless moon power continued to flow in, and Zhao Fu's body seemed to become a human-shaped orb of light. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu's body collapsed, turning into countless motes of light that scattered in all directions like stars in the sky. He gave off a boundless aura. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the stars in the sky once again gathered together. A massive wave of power spread out as Zhao Fu's body slowly reformed. He was still sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed, and he floated in the air half a foot above the ground. The Moon Holy Maiden looked at Zhao Fu with a serious expression. By now, Zhao Fu had already grasped moon power and had condensed the innate lunar sky. He had the same constitution as the Moon Holy Maiden. This was the first time that the Moon Holy Maiden felt how terrifying Zhao Fu's potential was. She had completely overlooked this before. Zhao Fu sensed an egg-sized round moon within his body that gave off faint moonlight. He smiled. He had finally grasped a type of moon power. Opening his eyes, Zhao Fu walked over to the Moon Holy Maiden and said, "Thank you, Your Highness, Moon Immortal, for your reward." The Moon Holy Maiden smiled as she said, "You're quite surprising. I underestimated you." Zhao Fu said humbly and honestly, "I'm just a minor figure. How could I be noticed by Your Highness, Moon Immortal?" The Moon Holy Maiden smiled as she said, "Let's go back. I'm going to properly nurture you and give you an even higher position." After returning to the palace, the 6 moon attendants were there. The Moon Holy Maiden smiled as she said, "This time, Yu Xian has made a great contribution. Not only did he contact the evil immortal's successor, but he also brought back his blood." Hearing this, the 6 of them looked at Zhao Fu in shock. Zhao Fu had said that he would use 1,000,000 bloodlines to attract the evil immortal's successor, and they had never thought that Zhao Fu would succeed in just a few days. The Moon Holy Maiden smiled as she continued to say, "I promised to give him moon power, and now that he has grasped moon power, I want to focus on nurturing him in the future. Moreover, the 6 of you will have to listen to his orders in the future." The 6 of them's expressions changed. Yu Jiaojiao, Yu and I, Yu Shui, and Yu He looked at Zhao Fu in surprise. They had never thought that they would have to listen to Zhao Fu's orders in the future, and they felt even more shocked. He had grasped moon power, which only the Moon Immortal could grasp. This was quite terrifying. Yu Qin's expression was somewhat unsightly. In the future, she would have to listen to Zhao Fu's orders and would definitely be bullied by Zhao Fu. Chapter 2879. Book 1, Chapter 324. Battleyue Longlong looked at Zhao Fu seriously. Zhao Fu's identity was changing by the day. At first, he had been her subordinate, then he was on the same level as her, and now, he was above her. Yu Longlong felt quite conflicted. The Moon Saintess smiled and asked, "Do you have any objections?" Yu Qin was the first to speak. "Your Majesty, I feel that there's something wrong with his identity. Moreover, his cultivation speed is too fast, and I suspect that he doesn't have the strength to make us obey him." The Moon Saintess looked at Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu said, "My identity isn't that special. I also have half of the Moon Clan's bloodline, and I definitely wouldn't do anything to harm the Moon Clan. As for my advancement, I believe that this is a reward that I've earned. You should also receive such rewards for your contributions. As for my strength, do you dare to suppress your strength to the Emperor Heaven Realm and fight with me?" Yu Longlong said, "I believe that he's right." Yu Shui nodded in agreement. Yu Qin said coldly, "Then let me test your strength and see if you have the qualifications to be above us." Zhao Fu looked at the Moon Saintess and nodded. The Moon Saint smiled and nodded. She wanted to see Zhao Fu's strength for herself. Zhao Fu and Yu Qin stood on either side of the palace. Zhao Fu smirked and gave a trace of a domineering smile. I'll let you attack first. A look of anger appeared on Yu Qin's face. Even though she had suppressed her cultivation to the Emperor Heaven Realm, she did not believe that Zhao Fu could defeat her. Bang! Yu Qin slapped out with her hand, and her palm gave off many traces of silver-white moonlight as a powerful palm energy quickly blasted towards Zhao Fu. Zhao Fu waved his hand, dispersing the incoming palm energy as he laughed and said, "That's it?" Yu Qin coldly called out, "Eat this." Yu Qin furiously slammed out with her hands, and a powerful wave of moon energy flowed out, turning into a pair of sharp claws that slashed towards Zhao Fu from the left and right. Zhao Fu released a silver-white defensive barrier. Bang! A muffled explosion sounded out as the pair of sharp claws slammed against the barrier with immense power, but it did not shatter it. Yu Qin once again struck out with her palm with all her strength. A massive wave of moon energy surged out and turned into a massive leopard. It brought with it a terrifying power as it pounced towards Zhao Fu like a ray of light. Zhao Fu stood where he was, and silvery white moonlight energy spread out from beneath his feet. An invisible domain spread out, and the leopard that was pouncing over entered the domain. It opened its mouth and bit at Zhao Fu, but in the next second, it turned into countless moons and dissipated. Yu Qin's expression turned ugly. She couldn't believe that her strength was so different from Zhao Fu's. Everyone else also looked quite shocked. If they had Emperor Heaven Realm cultivation, Zhao Fu would be able to suppress Yu Qin, and even if they suppressed their cultivation, the result would be the same. After all, their strength was about the same. Zhao Fu looked at Yu Qin and said, "It's my turn now." Boom! Zhao Fu slapped out with his hand, and a massive wave of silvery white moonlight energy containing a powerful aura blasted towards Yu Qin as if it was unstoppable. Yu Qin stretched out a hand and large amounts of moonlight energy flowed out, forming a thick shield that gave off a firm and powerful aura. Bang! Zhao Fu's wave of moonlight energy slammed against the shield, causing it to shatter. Yu Qin was forced back 5 or 6 steps before stopping, and a trace of blood leaked out of her lips. The moon goddess walked out and smiled as she said, "All right, there's no need to compete anymore." Zhao Fu smiled as he said, "Yes, Your Majesty Moon Celestial." Yu Qin's expression was cold and she did not say anything. Her strength was inferior to Zhao Fu's, so there was nothing she could say. The moon goddess smiled as she looked at Zhao Fu and said, "It's a pity that you're not a woman. If you were a woman, I would make you my legatee, and have you take charge of the 8th Moon faction." This was something that Zhao Fu could not do. Moreover, there was a rule that the Moon's celestial legatee had to be a woman. Zhao Fu knew this, so he did not want to become the Moon's celestial legatee. Zhao Fu bowed and said, "Thank you, Your Majesty Moon Celestial, for thinking so highly of me." The moon goddess said a few more words before leaving, and only Zhao Fu and the 6 moon attendants were left in the palace. Zhao Fu looked at the 6 of them and smiled as he said, "Everyone, don't worry. I won't threaten you, but you have to listen to my orders. I'm also willing to live harmoniously with everyone." Yu Jiaojiao lightly laughed as she said, I support you. With your potential, it's only a matter of time before you surpass us." Yu Shui said, "I don't have anything against you either. Everyone can live harmoniously." Yu and I looked at Zhao Fu and suddenly said, "Even though I don't know your identity, I'm sure that your ambitions won't stop here, right?" The smile on Zhao Fu's face faded as he said, "I'm already very satisfied with the current situation. I'm already the person with the most power apart from the Moon Celestial in the 8th Moon faction." Yu and I said, "That's right, your position in the 8th Moon faction has already reached the limit, and it's impossible for you to advance unless you become the Moon Celestial. However, that's impossible, so I'm sure you'll develop towards other factions." Yu and I had seen through Zhao Fu's plan. She was right. Zhao Fu's power had already reached the pinnacle, and Zhao Fu also needed the source moon power of other factions. As such, he had to develop towards other factions. Zhao Fu was not surprised and smiled as he said, I'll help the Moon's celestial legatee develop. You all have to wholeheartedly serve the Moon's celestial legatee. Seeing how shameless Zhao Fu was in describing his ambitions as helping the Moon's celestial legatee develop, Yuan I said, I have no ill intentions towards you, I'm just reminding you. Yuqin said coldly, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because the Moon's celestial legatee thinks highly of you. If you endanger the 8th Moon faction's development, the Moon's celestial legatee will not forgive you. Zhao Fu gave a trace of an evil smile. Do whatever I want? I'll let you know what it means to do whatever you want. Don't blame me. Yuqin had a bad feeling. What do you want to do to us? Zhao Fu lightly laughed. Don't worry, you'll know in a few days. Yuan I said calmly, even though the Moon Celestial thinks highly of you, she'll trust us more. You're new and definitely can't replace us. I don't believe that you would dare to do anything to us. Also, your cultivation is no threat to us. Yu Longlong said, we'll be working together in the future, so let's not be so confrontational. The Moon's celestial legatee doesn't want us to be like this. Zhao Fu smiled and said, there's no need to say anything else. You'll know in a few days. I'm not interested in talking to you, so I'll be leaving first. Seeing Zhao Fu leave confidently, Yuan I frowned and felt somewhat worried. She did not know what Zhao Fu would do to them. Yuqin's expression was cold. No matter what Zhao Fu did to her, she would not be afraid of Zhao Fu. The others felt quite helpless and could only hope that they would not be dragged into this matter. Chapter 2880. Book 1, Chapter 325. After returning to his room, Zhao Fu focused on cultivating moon power. As Zhao Fu cultivated, Zhao Fu's body seemed to become lighter and lighter, as if he could float into the sky. A few days later, Zhao Fu's body left the ground and floated half a foot in the air. Zhao Fu once again found Moon Saintess and said, Your Highness, I have grasped a technique that can greatly increase moon power and strengthen the moon body. Moon Saintess did not mind and smiled as she said, What technique? As the Moon Immortal, no one understood moon power better than she did, and she had grasped all sorts of methods to increase moon power. Moon Saintess did not believe that Zhao Fu could comprehend something useful to her in just a few days. Zhao Fu stretched out a hand, and a silver-white orb appeared on his palm. A powerful wave of moon energy spread out, blowing out like a wild gale. Moon Saintess looked shocked. Zhao Fu's moon power had increased so much in just a few days? This was dozens of times more than what she had done in the past. Moon Saintess' expression became serious as she asked, What technique did you use? Zhao Fu said carefully, This might offend Her Highness the Moon Immortal. Moon Saintess smiled and said, Tell me, I won't blame you. A trace of a smile appeared on Zhao Fu's face as he said, Moon is a type of Yin energy, and it's a type of extreme Yin energy. It will become more and more difficult to increase its power, so I'm thinking of using an opposite attribute to make it stronger. Extreme Yin will flourish, and extreme Yang will weaken. There will be Yang within Yin and Yin within Yang, and only by balancing Yin and Yang will one be able to achieve the great Tao. Moon Saintess smiled and said, I must have thought of this long ago, but there are very few Yang powers in the world that are equal to moon power. It will basically be devoured by moon power, and it will have adverse effects on the body. Zhao Fu said, My body is special and has this extreme Yang attribute. I also found another method to increase moon power, which is why my moon power is so powerful now. Moon Saintess looked at Zhao Fu and asked, What method? Zhao Fu answered carefully, That is to dual cultivate with me and use this Xiantian Yin-Yang harmony technique. The Moon Saint's expression froze and she chuckled. Are you sure this method will work? Seeing that she was not angry, Zhao Fu said, I can guarantee with my life that it will definitely be very effective. Your Highness, please allow me to prove it. I can dual cultivate with the 6 moon attendants first. Not only will I be able to strengthen their moon power, but I will also give them a weakened version of the moon body. The moon saint thought about it. Are you sure you want to try it now? If it doesn't have an amazing effect, I will punish you severely. Zhao Fu said firmly, Moon Immortal Highness, please believe me. If I can't meet your requirements, I'm willing to accept punishment without any complaints. Moon Saintess smiled and said, I'll believe you this once. A few minutes later, the 6 moon attendants arrived at the main hall. When Yu Jiaojiao saw that Zhao Fu was also in the main hall, she faintly felt that something was wrong. Zhao Fu had said that he would deal with them in a few days, which meant that it would be a few days later. Yu Qin stood there without a trace of fear. Yuni's expression was cold as she tried to guess what Zhao Fu would do to deal with them. Moon Saintess looked at the 6 moon attendants and smiled as she said, Yu Xian has grasped an extremely powerful technique that can temporarily increase your moon power and give you a moon body. Yu and I looked at Zhao Fu. She definitely did not believe that Zhao Fu would do anything good. She asked, Your Highness, what method do you have? Zhao Fu smiled and said, It's a dual cultivation technique. The 6 women's expressions changed. They never thought that Zhao Fu would be so shameless and despicable as to use such a despicable method to deal with them. Yu Qin cried out, I refuse. Zhao Fu said righteously, You dare to refuse? You're being disrespectful to Her Highness. Yu Qin retorted, I'm not being disrespectful to Her Highness, don't accuse me wrongly. Zhao Fu coldly harumphed, You're all Her Highness people, so you should always think for her. This method is extremely important to the 8th Moon's faction, and it can even help Her Highness ascend. How can you refuse such a great matter? Seeing how shameless Zhao Fu was, Yu Qin felt so angry that she could not retort. Yu and I was rather calm and looked at Moon Saintess as she asked, Your Highness, did you really agree? Moon Saintess lightly nodded. I heard that this technique of his is very powerful, so I asked you to try it with him. If it works, it'll be beneficial to all of you. If it doesn't work, I'll hand him over to you. Yu and I looked at Zhao Fu and said, Sure. Yu Qin did not expect Yu and I to agree and cried out, Yu and I, why did you agree? Yu and I said with a cold expression, We'll listen to Moon Immortal's arrangements, and if it doesn't work, he'll hand it over to us. Yu Qin thought about how to deal with Zhao Fu and said, All right, I accept. Yu Jiaojiao, Yu Longlong, Yu Shui, and Yu He sighed. As expected, he had dragged them in. Yu Longlong felt quite angry. Her relationship with Zhao Fu was quite good, so why was Zhao Fu including her? Zhao Fu gave a trace of a smile as he walked towards the 6 moon attendants and looked at Yu Qin and Yu and I as he said, I mean what I say. Yu and I coldly harumphed, If it doesn't work, you'll regret it. Zhao Fu loudly laughed and pulled Yu and I into his embrace. A few hours later, Moon Saintess looked at the chaotic scene in front of her, and her face became red. However, she found that the 6 moon attendants' power was quickly increasing, and their constitutions were changing. Zhao Fu was right. His dual cultivation technique was quite useful. A few hours later, Moon Saintess looked quite shocked. The 6 moon attendants' bodies were all giving off moonlight, and their bodies also contained moon energy, turning into moon bodies. The 6 moon attendants lay on the ground, powerless. Zhao Fu smiled as he walked over to Moon Saintess, and he hugged her with both hands. Moon Saintess did not resist. She felt that Zhao Fu's dual cultivation technique was quite useful to her, and if it did not work, she would kill Zhao Fu. The next day, the palace was in chaos, and Zhao Fu hugged the high and mighty Moon Saintess as he smiled and said, Moon Immortal, how is it? Moon Saintess' face became slightly red as she said, I don't know what kind of power your body possesses, but I've been stuck at a bottleneck for a long time, and now I'm showing signs of breaking through. Zhao Fu's body contained boundless top-tier power, and Moon Saintess naturally obtained all sorts of benefits. Zhao Fu lightly laughed as he said, I will help Moon Immortal break through and ascend to the moon. This is also the goal that I pursue. Moon Saintess lightly laughed as she said, I didn't quite believe you before, but now I somewhat believe you. The few of them gently waved, and Moon Saintess got up and left. Zhao Fu once again changed his appearance, and he hugged the arrogant Yu Qin with one hand and the cold Yuan I with the other as he smiled and said, How is it? What do you mean by doing whatever you want? Who will regret it? Chapter 2881. Book 1. Chapter 326. Yu Qin snorted and didn't say anything. There was nothing to say now. She was already Zhao Fu's. What else could she do? Yuan I stared at Zhao Fu. I've underestimated you. You're simply too daring in your lust. Not only did you get the 6 of us, but you even got the Moon Immortal. Zhao Fu chuckled, That's nothing. I've even obtained an immortal before. Everyone was shocked. Zhao Fu didn't look like he was lying. This couldn't be true, right? He had even obtained an immortal before? Yuan I stared at Zhao Fu. Who are you? Zhao Fu smiled and said, You don't need to know. In the future, if you follow me, I will not treat you unfairly. Yu Longlong asked, What's your next plan? Zhao Fu said, Head to the other factions, collect the 12 original moons, and ascend to the moon. Yu Longlong asked in shock, Are you really going to ascend to the moon? Zhao Fu said with a smile, Of course, I'm here to ascend to the moon. Yuan I looked at Zhao Fu with a smile and said, Although I don't know your identity, I know that you're definitely a world-shaking genius. I've accepted my fate. If you need anything, I'll do my best to help you. Zhao Fu replied with a smile, Yes, I was just about to ask you about the other factions. After a while, Zhao Fu learned about the other 12 moon factions, as well as who had the 4 bronze shards. The 1st moon faction, the 4th moon faction, the 7th moon faction, and the 12th moon faction each had one. Zhao Fu arrived at the place where the 4th moon's faction was located. He had come here because Zhao Fu had obtained a token earlier. That token was known as the Moon Immortals token. Zhao Fu had heard this information from Yuan I, and he had also deduced that the token belonged to the 4th Moon Immortal based on the ripples of moon power on it. When they arrived, Zhao Fu handed the command medallion to a maidservant and asked her to report it to the 4th Moon Immortal. Soon, the female attendant called out to Zhao Fu and told him that the 4th Moon Celestial wanted to see him. Zhao Fu smiled and followed the female attendant into the palace. The Moon Immortal Medallion was very important to the 12 Moons merchant group, and it represented the Moon Immortal's identity. Zhao Fu wanted to use this medallion to see if he could obtain the 4th Moon's power and the bronze shard. But as soon as he arrived at the hall, Zhao Fu was surprised to find that the Moon Holy Lady was here as well. Seeing Zhao Fu walk in, the Moon Maiden was a little surprised and asked, Yu Xian, why are you here? Zhao Fu had yet to speak. He has the 4th Moon's faction's Moon Immortal token, a tall and charming woman said with a smile. She was the 4th Moon Immortal, and her name was Yu Yao. Zhao Fu looked quite awkward. He had never thought that the mysterious Moon Maiden would be here. He said, I obtained this command medallion with the Moon Nectar. At first, I did not know what it was, but now that I know about it, I brought it to the 4th Moon faction. The mysterious Moon Maiden lightly nodded. Yu Yao lightly laughed as she said, The Moon Immortal token in your hand is very old, and it was left behind by the 4th Moon Immortal from a few generations ago. That Moon Nectar might have been given to him by the 4th Moon Immortal from a few generations ago. The mysterious Moon Maiden understood and said, No wonder I was wondering why he had the Moon Nectar. It originally belonged to the 12 moons. Yu Yao looked at Zhao Fu and smiled as she said, What do you want? The mysterious Moon Maiden lightly laughed. I think he wants the 4th moon's power. This guy's goal is to ascend to the moon. Yu Yao smiled as she said, Is that so? Do you know how difficult it is to ascend to the moon? Also, Do you know how difficult it is to fuse two types of moon power into one's body? Zhao Fu replied, I don't know how difficult it is, but I will try my best. Yu Yao smiled as she said, All right, I will give you a chance as well. Seeing that the matter had been resolved so easily, Zhao Fu revealed a smile and bowed, Thank you, Your Highness Moon Immortal. Following this, Zhao Fu followed Yu Yao and the mysterious Moon Maiden to another platform. This platform was exactly the same as the one before, and there was also a huge silver-white moon stone floating in the sky above it, emitting gentle moonlight as if it was a real moon. Yu Yao said, Go up and give it a try. Zhao Fu nodded and walked towards the moon stone. As Zhao Fu got closer, Zhao Fu felt a repulsive force. Although the 12 moons belonged to the same type of moon power, there was a great repulsive force between the moons. Even ordinary moon immortals could not have two types of moon power. Only extremely powerful moon immortals with special constitutions could have multiple types of moon power. The mysterious Moon Maiden and Yu Yao only had one type, and they knew how difficult it was to fuse two types of moon power. As such, they did not believe that Zhao Fu could fuse two types of moon power. Sensing that repulsive force, Zhao Fu's expression did not change as he continued onwards. The repulsive force became stronger and stronger, and the moon power within his body also produced a repulsive force towards the fourth moon stone. These two types of repulsive forces caused Zhao Fu's body to slowly come to a stop, unable to continue onwards. Yu Yao lightly laughed as she said, Does he know how difficult it is now? It's not quite possible for him to even walk over, much less fuse two types of moon power. Boom! An explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu suppressed the moon power within his body and released his body's powerful power, causing the repulsive force to instantly disappear. It was unknown how many types of powers had fused into Zhao Fu's body, but his constitution had also become one that could accommodate all things. This constitution was most suited to withstanding the power of the 12 moons, so the repulsive force had disappeared. Yu Yao and the mysterious Moon Maiden had strange expressions on their faces. They were confused. Why had the repulsive force disappeared? Zhao Fu walked over to the massive moon stone without any obstructions, sat cross-legged on the ground, and closed his eyes. Boom! The massive moon stone slowly rose into the sky. In the blue sky, it gave off boundless moonlight, and a massive wave of moon power spread out. Zhao Fu felt a powerful wave of moon power enter his body, and he quickly absorbed this wave of moon power, condensing it into a moon within his body. Yu Yao and the mysterious Moon Maiden stared at this scene in shock. He absorbed the second wave of moon power so easily? Why is there no repulsive force at all? How did he do it? Countless questions surfaced in their minds. Zhao Fu continuously absorbed moon power, and his body gave off boundless moonlight. He was like a human-shaped orb of light, giving off a powerful wave of moon power. This time, Zhao Fu's body did not collapse. The moon within his body had already condensed, and it was the same size as the previous one. It floated beside the other moon stone, giving off faint moonlight. After grasping two types of moon power, Zhao Fu felt that his moon power had increased by several times. It was not just 1 + 1 = 2. His body also felt lighter, and his aura became cold and ethereal. If he could fuse 12 types of moon power, Zhao Fu felt that he could easily fly to the moon. The moonlight that his body gave off dissipated, and Zhao Fu opened his eyes as he walked over to Yu Yao and the mysterious Moon Maiden. Chapter 2882. Book 1. Chapter 327. Zhao Fu bowed and said, Thank you, Your Highness Moon Immortal. Yu Yao looked at Zhao Fu and said, Tell me, how did you manage to merge two types of moon powers so easily? Zhao Fu replied, Ever since I started cultivating, I've liked to fuse with all kinds of powers. My body is very tolerant, so fusing with two types of moon powers is not a problem. Yu Yao understood. So that's how it is. The moon saintess chuckled and said, "You've surprised me once again. Do you still want to continue fusing with moon power?" Zhao Fu replied with a smile, "Of course I do." Moon saintess smiled and said, "Then come with me. I want to see how many types of moon powers you can integrate." Yu Yao smiled and said, "Yeah, I want to see it too." The moon saintess brought Zhao Fu to the 9th moon faction. The 9th moon faction's moon immortal had an angelic face and a devilish figure. She gave off a formless bewitching aura and was called the Moon Dance Star. Yu Dancing Star glanced at Holy Daughter Yu and Yu Yao and asked curiously, "What's the matter?" The moon saint smiled and said, "Let me borrow the power of the 9th moon." Yu Dancing Star nodded without asking any questions. Everyone came to the 9th moon's platform, which was exactly the same as the previous 2 platforms. There was also a massive moonstone floating there, giving off gentle moonlight. Zhao Fu walked forward. Yu Wuxing said, "Does he really have the ability to fuse several types of moon power?" The moon saintess smiled and said, "You can see it for yourself right away." Hearing this, Yu Wuxing glanced at Zhao Fu, only to see that Zhao Fu did not receive any help at all. He walked to the bottom of the huge moonstone, sat cross-legged on the ground, and closed his eyes. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the moonstone gave off a massive aura. A boundless wave of moon energy flowed out, flooding into Zhao Fu's body. Yu Wuxing said in shock, "He really didn't have any help to fuse with moon power. How did he do it?" The moon saintess chuckled and said, "I'm also curious about how many types of moon powers he can integrate into his body. That's why I'm here." Yu Wuxing asked, "How many types of moon powers has he fused with?" The moon saintess replied, "Including yours, it's the 3rd type." Yu Yao suddenly said, "Do you think it's possible for this person to fuse with all of the moon power?" The moon saintess asked with certainty, "Are you saying that he has fused 12 types of moon powers?" Yu Yao nodded. "If he can fuse 12 types of moon powers, I can't even begin to imagine how powerful he will be." Yu Wuxing nodded and said, "That's almost impossible. In ancient times, not even the moon immortal was able to fuse 12 types of moon powers. This is a little different. Moon immortals are creatures born from the moon, so they are born with the same element as the moon. They are unable to fuse with other moon powers. Later moon immortals were humans, so they were able to fuse with several types of moon powers. However, no one was able to fuse with 12 types of moon powers. Unfortunately, he is not a woman. If a woman had such potential, she would definitely be the next moon immortal." The moon maiden sighed regretfully. "Sigh, it is indeed a pity." Boom! Another explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu's body once again gave off an intense light. He looked like a humanoid orb of light, and a powerful wave of moon power flowed out. Yu Wuxing said, "He's already fused with 3 types of moon powers. Do you want to continue?" The moon saintess said, Continue." Following this, the moon maiden brought them to the 11th moonland. The 11th moonland's moon immortal was a sweet-looking woman called Yuduku. The moon maiden briefly explained what had happened. Yuduku looked at Zhao Fu curiously and smiled as she said, "Sure, I'm also curious about how many types of moon powers he can fuse with." They came to another platform which was the same as the previous one. Yuduku smiled as she said to Zhao Fu, "You can go up. You can absorb as much moon power as you want." Zhao Fu bowed and said, "Thank you, Your Highness Moon Immortal." In actuality, Zhao Fu had never thought that things would be so simple with the Moon Maiden's help. Zhao Fu had planned to get on the good side of the Moon Immortals one by one before slowly fusing with moon powers. As such, Zhao Fu continued onwards. A while later, a massive explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu gave off boundless moonlight, making him look like a humanoid orb of light. The moon powers around his body became more than 10 times stronger, and the ripples he gave off became more and more terrifying. Yu Yao's expression became slightly serious as she said, He's already fused with 4 types of moon powers and doesn't seem to have any difficulty. Should we continue? Yu Wuxing laughed and said, "This matter seems quite serious. I'm not even sure how many types of moon powers he can fuse." Yu Duke said in shock, "He's so powerful." The Moon Maiden looked at Zhao Fu and said seriously, "Let him try again. If he can still fuse, we'll have to take this matter seriously." Hearing this, the other women nodded. They then came to the 12th moonland. The 12th moonland's moon immortal was a young and beautiful woman with a graceful figure, and she was called Yu Qianqian. After hearing about this, Yu Qianqian did not hesitate and brought them to the platform. The Moon Maiden said seriously, "Yu Xian, continue onwards and see if you can fuse with 5 types of moon powers." Zhao Fu looked at the serious expressions on the women's faces, and they were no longer joking around. Zhao Fu started to hesitate as to whether or not he should continue fusing with moon powers. If he continued, something would definitely happen, and if he did not fuse with moon powers, it would be very difficult for him to have such a good opportunity again. After thinking for a while, Zhao Fu decided to continue fusing with moon powers. There was no longer any way out. Boom! The moon stone gave off a massive aura and countless rays of moonlight shined out. A massive wave of moon powers entered Zhao Fu's body, and powerful ripples spread out from Zhao Fu's body. Yu Yao said seriously, "He's already fused with 5 types of moon powers." Yu Duke looked at Zhao Fu in shock and said, "How can he fuse with so many types of moon powers? Ordinary people's bodies cannot withstand it." The Moon Maiden said, "It's time to gather the other moon immortals to discuss this matter." Yu Wuxing nodded seriously. Now that he has fused with 5 types of moon powers, he has not faced any resistance. Perhaps he really can fuse with all of the moon powers. This is no small matter, and we need to discuss this properly. Zhao Fu fused with moon powers and walked in front of the moon immortals. The Moon Maiden said seriously, "Yu Xian, come with us to the first moonland." The first moonland was the center of the 12 moons and held the most power. The first moon immortal was also the most powerful one. Hearing this, Zhao Fu understood that the matter had become more serious and lightly nodded. After arriving at the first moonland, Zhao Fu stood outside the palace, where the 12 moons immortals were discussing this matter. Chapter 2883. Book 1. Chapter 327. Zhao Fu bowed and said, "Thank you, Your Highness Moon Immortal." Yu Yao looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Tell me, how did you manage to merge 2 types of moon powers so easily?" Zhao Fu replied, "Ever since I started cultivating, I've liked to fuse with all kinds of powers. My body is very tolerant, so fusing with 2 types of moon powers is not a problem." Yu Yao understood. "So that's how it is." The Moon Saintess chuckled and said, "You've surprised me once again. Do you still want to continue fusing with moon power?" Zhao Fu replied with a smile, "Of course I do." Moon Saintess smiled and said, "Then come with me. I want to see how many types of moon powers you can integrate." Yu Yao smiled and said, "Yeah, I want to see it too." The Moon Saintess brought Zhao Fu to the 9th Moon Faction. The 9th Moon Faction's Moon Immortal had an angelic face and a devilish figure. She gave off a formless bewitching aura and was called the Moon Dance Star. Yu Dancing Star glanced at Holy Daughter Yu and Yu Yao and asked curiously, "What's the matter?" The Moon Saint smiled and said, "Let me borrow the power of the 9th moon." Yu Dancing Star nodded without asking any questions. Everyone came to the 9th moon's platform, which was exactly the same as the previous 2 platforms. There was also a massive moonstone floating there, giving off gentle moonlight. Zhao Fu walked forward. Yu Wuxing said, "Does he really have the ability to fuse several types of moon power?" The Moon Saintess smiled and said, "You can see it for yourself right away." Hearing this, Yu Wuxing glanced at Zhao Fu, only to see that Zhao Fu did not receive any help at all. He walked to the bottom of the huge moonstone, sat cross-legged on the ground, and closed his eyes. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the moonstone gave off a massive aura. A boundless wave of moon energy flowed out, flooding into Zhao Fu's body. Yu Wuxing said in shock, "He really didn't have any help to fuse with moon power. How did he do it?" The moon saintess chuckled and said, "I'm also curious about how many types of moon powers he can integrate into his body. That's why I'm here." Yu Wuxing asked, "How many types of moon powers has he fused with?" The moon saintess replied, "Including yours, it's the third type." Yu Yao suddenly said, "Do you think it's possible for this person to fuse with all of the moon power?" The moon saintess asked with certainty, "Are you saying that he has fused 12 types of moon powers?" Yu Yao nodded. "If he can fuse 12 types of moon powers, I can't even begin to imagine how powerful he will be." Yu Wuxing nodded and said, "That's almost impossible. In ancient times, not even the Moon Immortal was able to fuse 12 types of moon powers. This is a little different. Moon Immortals are creatures born from the moon, so they are born with the same element as the moon. They are unable to fuse with other moon powers. Later Moon Immortals were humans, so they were able to fuse with several types of moon powers. However, no one was able to fuse with 12 types of moon powers. Unfortunately, he is not a woman. If a woman had such potential, she would definitely be the next Moon Immortal." The Moon Maiden sighed regretfully. "Sigh, it is indeed a pity." Boom! Another explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu's body once again gave off an intense light. He looked like a humanoid orb of light, and a powerful wave of moon power flowed out. Yu Wuxing said, "He's already fused with 3 types of moon powers. Do you want to continue?" The Moon Saintess said, Continue." Following this, the Moon Maiden brought them to the 11th Moonland. The 11th Moonland's Moon Immortal was a sweet-looking woman called Yuduku. The Moon Maiden briefly explained what had happened. Yuduku looked at Zhao Fu curiously and smiled as she said, "Sure, I'm also curious about how many types of moon powers he can fuse with." They came to another platform, which was the same as the previous one. Yuduku smiled as she said to Zhao Fu, "You can go up. You can absorb as much moon power as you want." Zhao Fu bowed and said, "Thank you, Your Highness Moon Immortal." In actuality, Zhao Fu had never thought that things would be so simple with the Moon Maiden's help. Zhao Fu had planned to get on the good side of the Moon Immortals one by one before slowly fusing with moon powers. As such, Zhao Fu continued onwards. A while later, a massive explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu gave off boundless moonlight, making him look like a humanoid orb of light. The moon powers around his body became more than 10 times stronger, and the ripples he gave off became more and more terrifying. Yu Yao's expression became slightly serious as she said, "He's already fused with 4 types of moon powers and doesn't seem to have any difficulty. Should we continue?" Yu Wuxing laughed and said, "This matter seems quite serious. I'm not even sure how many types of moon powers he can fuse." Yuduka said in shock, "He's so powerful." The Moon Maiden looked at Zhao Fu and said seriously, "Let him try again. If he can still fuse, we'll have to take this matter seriously." Hearing this, the other women nodded. They then came to the 12th Moonland. The 12th Moonland's Moon Immortal was a young and beautiful woman with a graceful figure, and she was called Yu Qianqian. After hearing about this, Yu Qianqian did not hesitate and brought them to the platform. The Moon Maiden said seriously, "Yu Xian, continue onwards and see if you can fuse with 5 types of moon powers." Zhao Fu looked at the serious expressions on the women's faces, and they were no longer joking around. Zhao Fu started to hesitate as to whether he should continue fusing with moon powers. If he did, something would definitely happen, and if he did not fuse with moon powers, it would be very difficult for him to have such a good opportunity again. After thinking for a while, Zhao Fu decided to continue fusing with moon powers. There was no way back. Boom! The moon stone gave off a massive aura and countless rays of moonlight shined out. A massive wave of moon powers entered Zhao Fu's body, and powerful ripples spread out from Zhao Fu's body. Yu Yao said seriously, "He's already fused with 5 types of moon powers." Yuduka looked at Zhao Fu in shock and said, "How can he fuse with so many types of moon powers? An ordinary person's body would not be able to withstand it." The Moon Maiden said, "It's time to gather the other moon immortals to discuss this matter." Yu Wuxing nodded seriously. "He's fused with 5 types of moon powers without any resistance. Perhaps he really can fuse with all of the moon powers. This is no small matter, and we need to discuss this properly." Zhao Fu fused with moon powers and walked in front of the moon immortals. The Moon Maiden said seriously, "Yu Xian, come with us to the first moonland." The first moonland was the center of the 12 moons and held the most power. The first moon immortal was also the most powerful one. Hearing this, Zhao Fu understood that the matter had become even more serious and lightly nodded. After arriving at the first moonland, Zhao Fu stood outside the palace, where the 12 moons immortals were discussing this matter. P.S. New book Crown Prince War. Chapter 2884. The Lord's Army Conquers the World. New book War of the Crown Prince. Currently typing, please wait for a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 2885. Book 1. Chapter 329. He arrived at the 7th platform. Just like before, Zhao Fu walked to the moonstone and sat cross-legged on the ground. He closed his eyes and absorbed the moonstone's initial moon energy. When he arrived at the 8th platform, he continued to absorb moon power as before. After absorbing the moon power from the 8th platform, Xiao Qin went to the 9th platform to absorb the moon power. He did not encounter any resistance and easily absorbed the moon power from the 9th platform. There were 3 moonstones left. They were the first moonstone, the second moonstone, and the third moonstone. They were the 3 most powerful moonstones, and as long as Zhao Fu absorbed the power of these 3 moonstones, he would have fused with 12 types of moon power. Arriving at the platform of the third moonland, Zhao Fu walked forward as the moon immortals watched from the side. Boom! As Zhao Fu got closer, the third moonstone sensed something and gave off a massive aura. The 9 resplendent round stars in Zhao Fu's body gave off a massive amount of moon energy. These 2 moon stones repelled each other. Bang! A muffled sound rang out, and Zhao Fu's body was pushed back more than 10 meters. Many of the moon immortals' expressions changed. He had finally encountered some resistance when he reached the third moon stone. The crowd did not know whether to feel happy or to sigh in their hearts. If he had been able to fuse 12 types of moon power without any resistance, it would have been too much of a freak. They could only accept it after encountering some resistance. Zhao Fu, who had been forced back, wanted to suppress the 9 types of moon power within his body. However, these 9 types of moon power were incredibly strong, and it was not easy for Zhao Fu to suppress them. Now, Zhao Fu's moon power was hundreds of times greater than before. Just using his body alone would not be enough to suppress these 9 types of moon power. Zhao Fu thought about the Sun-Moon Shaman curse that he had obtained before. The moon curse contained massive amounts of moon curse power, and this should be able to suppress the 9 types of moon power within his body. Otherwise, he would have to use the Emperor Star's power. Thinking about this, Zhao Fu immediately activated the power of the moon incantation. Many silver tadpole-like shaman incantations appeared in Zhao Fu's body and spread around the 9 round stars. One after another, the curse flew towards the 9 round stars. The 9 stars emitted intense starlight, trying to block the curse that flew towards them. However, the curse was blocked by the starlight and could not get any closer. Zhao Fu's expression did not change. More witchcraft incantations appeared in his body and continued to float towards the witchcraft incantations. The 9 stars continued to give off starlight, preventing the spells from approaching. The spells were stopped in place by the starlight, and the spells continued to float forward. In the end, they wrapped around the 9 stars, forming 9 spell spheres. At this time, the 9 stars were still emitting intense starlight. Although the incantation had wrapped around the 9 stars, it was still unable to suppress its power. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as the runes gave off waves of powerful shaman power. They linked together and a powerful wave of shaman power enveloped the 9 stars, suppressing the power that the 9 stars gave off. Zhao Fu continued onwards. By now, Zhao Fu did not feel any repulsive power anymore. He sat down below the 3rd moonstone and started to absorb its power. The Moon Immortals felt quite surprised. They had never thought that Zhao Fu would be able to deal with the resistance so quickly. Zhao Fu continuously absorbed the moon power, and the massive amount of moon power continuously gathered within Zhao Fu's body. It formed another round star that gave off bright starlight. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu's body gave off an incredibly powerful wave of moon power, forming a massive might that covered the surrounding 1,000 kilometers. The Moon Immortals and the others all felt a wave of pressure. This pressure came from the moon power within their bodies, causing their expressions to become quite serious. After Zhao Fu finished absorbing the 10th type of moon power, he smiled and walked before the Moon Immortals. Yu Xianzi looked at Zhao Fu and said, "Head to the 2nd moonland." Now there were only 2 types of moon power left, and Zhao Fu would be able to absorb all of them. Everyone came to the 2nd moonland's platform, and Zhao Fu continued onwards. Boom! A deafening explosion sounded out as the moonstone exploded out with a massive repulsive power, which blasted out like a shockwave. Zhao Fu's body was instantly blasted back, and blood leaked out of his lips. The Moon Immortals were also affected by this repulsive power, and they retreated a few steps, looking quite serious. This repulsive power was incredibly terrifying. Yu Xianzi looked at Zhao Fu and asked, "This repulsive power is incredibly powerful, and it's quite difficult for us to resist it. Do you still want to continue?" Zhao Fu's gaze was resolute as he wiped away the blood at his lips and said, "Continue." A look of admiration appeared in Yu Xianzi's eyes as she said, "If you can't resist it, don't force yourself. You can choose to give up. You've already fused with 10 types of moon power, and your moon power is even more powerful than ours." Zhao Fu's tone was quite forceful and stubborn as he said, "I'm not satisfied with this moon power. I want the most powerful moon power." Yu Xianzi smirked and did not say anything else. Zhao Fu once again used the massive moon curse's power, and countless silver tadpole-like runes appeared within Zhao Fu's body, bringing with them waves of powerful curse power as they flew towards the 10 stars giving off starlight. The 10 stars gave off an intense starlight, blocking the incantations that were flying over. After the incantations were blocked, they wrapped around the 10 stars. Boom! An explosion once again sounded out as the countless curses gave off a massive curse power that covered the 10 stars and started to suppress their power. Bang! 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 The 10 stars desperately resisted, exploding out with 10 massive waves of power that sent the curses flying. Chi! Zhao Fu's body trembled and he coughed up a mouthful of blood, and his aura became quite weak. The Moon Immortals knew that Zhao Fu was suppressing the moon power within his body, and it seemed that he had failed. The Moon Saintess could not help but say, "Yu Xian, it's enough now. There's no need to continue or else you'll be greatly injured." Zhao Fu insisted, "No, I want to continue." Since the shaman curse's power could not suppress the 10 types of moon power, he would use the Emperor Star's power. Boom! A massive explosion sounded out as Zhao Fu's body gave off a blood-red starlight, and a massive aura of chaos, massacre, disaster, war, and evil spread out. A blood-red star giving off a resplendent blood-red light appeared above the 10 white stars. A massive wave of Emperor Star's power spread out, and it was as if an emperor's power was pressing down on the 10 stars. The 10 stars were suppressed, and the starlight they gave off gradually weakened. After successfully suppressing the moon power within his body, Zhao Fu continued to walk forward. The moon stone in the sky no longer gave off a repelling power, and instead gave off a powerful pressure that landed on Zhao Fu's body. However, facing Zhao Fu's terrifying constitution, this pressure was not very effective. Zhao Fu easily walked under the moonstone and started to absorb the 11th type of moon power. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.